custodian at Central Elementary School. She's been there 17 years, and she lost her battle with cancer. So we do want to keep her and her family, as well as the CES staff, in our thoughts and prayers as we do a moment of silence tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. So if we could stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance and keep the families in mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Board, have you seen the agenda? Okay. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to amend the agenda, Mr. Chair. I would like to move the student reps up to insert them at position number 5.
Okay. We have a motion?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. So we have an amended agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Motion to approve amended agenda?
Second. All in favor? Aye.
So, Mr. Chair, if I would, if it's the purview of the board that they be at 5 moving forward, when we create the agendas moving forward, we can have them at that place, if that's the
That
will of
works.
the board.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, thank you.
You guys don't have to run at that time. We're just saying that, we'll help you out a little bit. Okay. Dr. Wells, recognitions.
Yes, sir. So I wanted to start with recognizing a former principal at Amherst County Public Schools, Mr. Ralph Steele. And Mr. Steele was 37 years in Amherst County Schools. He was a principal at Amelon Elementary School. He graduated from Temperance High School when Temperance was a high school, not an elementary school, and went to Lynchburg College, master's degree from UVA, and then came back to Amherst County. Again, he was a longtime fixture in our school system and was a sort of a mentor to me when I first came back into the school system. I just want to recognize him for that. He probably, I don't know how many thousands of students came through his school when he was there as principal, but he influenced thousands of students in our community over his tenure at the school. So we want to keep him and his family in our thoughts and just have a moment to recognize him for that and thank the family for allowing him to be with us as long as he was. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So, next you have students.
All right, we will start with students of the month for November. So when I call your name, please come forward. If they're not here, again, I'm not going to read the description if they're not here, but again, students, when I call your name, please come forward. Jocelyn Tatiana Marcia Martinez. All right. Jocelyn's a star student. Tatiana is a star student of the month. She is a senior at the high school and has straight A's for the year. She is always kind and positive. She currently is an intern at a local dentist office and has been an asset as an interpreter, as well as learning valuable skills in the dental hygienist field. She is a wonderful student and exemplifies the definition of an ACPS star student. And understand you passed the test in the past day or so, that you're in good shape to graduate now, right? All right, congratulations. From AEC, Christopher Yancey. Okay, Christopher's not with us. From Amherst Middle School, Maddie White. Maddie is an 8th grade student at Amherst Middle School. She is the definition of the AMS Big Three, where she leads by example, by what it means to be respectful, responsible, and resilient. Maddie has perfect attendance so far this school year and has straight A's. She has a positive, infectious attitude and always has a smile on her face. She is part of the drama club where she earned the lead role as Maria in The Sound of Music. Maddie is a talented actress and singer, and we look forward to seeing her perform this role in the spring. Congratulations to Maddie as the AMS Student of the Month. Manelsa Middle School, Kinsley Argenbright. Kinsley is a seventh grader at Manelsa Middle School, and she's been selected because she has shown tremendous growth from last year to this year, improving in both her academic performance and overall confidence. Her hard work and determination have truly paid off, and it's clear she has become a stronger student. We are incredibly proud of her accomplishments and excited to see her continue to excel. Congratulations. Amelon Jovi Floyd. Jovi approaches her task with enthusiasm as she proclaims she is growing her brain. She keeps trying and cheers on other students when they get answers right. She encourages others when they make mistakes as well. In addition, she is always looking out for others and making sure they feel loved and appreciated. She is a true representative of an Amelon Bulldog. Congratulations. Amherst Elementary, Maggie Reedy. So Maggie is a third grader at Amherst Elementary School, and she was selected because she is considered to be the epitome of a student who thrives every single day, academically and socially. She is consistent in her efforts to always be the very best she can be. She is always kind to others and demonstrates leadership skills at all times. AES is proud of you, Maggie. Also, Maggie is always so happy and cheerful every time we see her. She has great manners and is always so kind to everyone. Congratulations. Central Elementary School, Tinley Tomlin. So Tinley is a third grader at Central Elementary and has been selected because she is kind and intentional. Tinley has gone above and beyond in making her peers feel loved, and she truly cares for them. She is a hardworking student who makes a difference each day at CES. Congratulations. Elin Elementary, Brielle Rober. Brielle's a fifth grader at Elin and has been selected because she's a great role model for other students. She has a caring heart and genuinely empowers her peers. This month, she was very helpful to Mrs. Mays during small group peer session. Additionally, she led the charge of Girls on the Run, making sure her running mates felt motivated and loved as they prepared for the race. Thank you, Brielle, for being a great example and a soaring eagle. Congratulations. Madison Heights Elementary, Naomi Tolliver. Not here? Okay. And then Temperance Elementary, Maggie Wheeler. You can go on that end, that way we're kind of balanced out. So Maggie is a fourth grader at Temperance and has been selected because she is a model student. She comes into class prepared to learn each and every day. She is kind to everyone she is around and always has a smile and a story to tell. Maggie is always asking questions and contributes to class discussion. Maggie exemplifies what it means to be a temperance tiger. Congratulations. All right, now we're taking a picture. So we need to slide. How's that?
Moving.
All right, now we have our staff of the month. From Amherst County High School, Mr. Preston Sandage. Mr. Sandage has worked at ACHS for many years and cares deeply for our school and community. Whenever there's an issue, Mr. Sandage always comes to our aid. Mr. Sandage works incredibly hard to maintain our building, and we appreciate his leadership and his dedication to our school. And they want to say thank you, Preston. And I will say, I was at the high school quite a few years. Preston has been there many of those years. And when I was a teacher, assistant principal, and principal, and he was always somebody who got the job done. I could always go to him if there was a need. He got taken care of. So, Preston, thank you for your time and all you've done for Amherst County High School. Thank you. From AEC, Tara Tyree. Not with us. Amherst Middle School, Catherine Widrick. Ms. Widrick is an 8th grade math and geometry teacher at Amherst Middle School. Is a member of Staff of the Month. Ms. Widrick establishes a great rapport for students and finds unique ways to build relationships with her students. She wears many hats at AMS as a math 8 and geometry teacher, athletic director, coordinates the drama club, sponsors the FCA club, helps with the STEAM club, and much more. All of these roles benefit the students in a positive and engaging way. Ms. Widrick collaborates well with her colleagues and leads by example. She is a fantastic role model for our students, as she is a great example of the AMS Big Three: respect, responsibility, and resilience. Congratulations, Ms. Widrick, and the AMS Staff of the Month. Manellison, Jennifer Fielder. Not with us? Okay. They're having a community dinner tonight, so she's there for that. Amelon, Amanda Prees. All right. Amherst Elementary, Kelly Arrington. Ms. Arrington is a 4th grade teacher at Amherst Elementary, has been selected because she always comes to school with a smile on her face. Ms. Arrington truly has a heart for teaching that shows through her dedication to her students. She makes a point of forming lasting relationships with her kids and is always looking to improve her practice. Thanks for all you do. Congratulations. Central, Corey Tyree. Corey Tyree is a 5th grade teacher at Central, and she's been selected because she may be new to Central Elementary this year, but she has embraced the Wildcat family with open arms, and it's a great addition to the team. Ms. Tyree loves her students and is passionate about teaching them math and science. She incorporates songs, tricks, and overall fun into class while being energetic and keeping her students engaged. Thank you. Any songs you want to share tonight?
Oh, on the spot.
You don't have to, we're good. Elin Michelle Douthit. Ms. Douthit is an instructional assistant at Elin, has been selected because she is always willing to help out wherever Elin has a need. Her kindness, calm demeanor, and unwavering dependability have been a beacon of support for both colleagues and students. Whether through assisting teachers, students, the main office, or covering the clinic as a lay responder, she consistently exemplifies the values we hold dear. Her role as an integral asset to our school is undeniable. Thank you, Ms. Douthit, for all you do. Madison Heights, Alexis Mead. Seems like yesterday here at the high school. Alexis is a fifth grade teacher at Madison Heights Elementary, has been selected as a Star Faculty of the Month because she works tirelessly to build meaningful relationships with her students and their families, creates a supportive and caring classroom and creates a supportive and caring classroom environment. She goes above and beyond by attending her students' supporting events and activities, showing them how much she values and supports them. Congratulations, Alexis, on this well-deserved recognition. Temperance Elementary, Ms. Bobby Campbell. I do know Bobby cannot be here tonight because she just recently had surgery and she's recovering from that. I do want to thank her for all she does, and she's been a face of that school for the last 20 years, I think. And is Lance here? I don't want to say anything bad, but she could probably run the school without us being up there. So she's just a great person and a great employee, so I want to recognize her for that. Transportation, Ms. Brenda Dunning. And from the school administration office, Mr. Rodney Carter. And Rodney is known for going above and beyond to help out. He consistently brightens everyone's day with kindness and his willingness to lend a helping hand. His exceptional work ethic and positive attitude makes him an invaluable part of our school division. Congratulations, Rodney, and thank you for all you do. Appreciate it.
All right, Preston.
So to our parents, we'll have certificates and photos for you tonight. And so we'll get those to your student's school. You're welcome to stay if you want to stay for the meeting. If not, I understand. But we do appreciate you being here tonight. And again, thank you for letting us recognize your child. And then for us teachers, thank you all. And again, you're welcome to stay, but I understand.
That's okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Rod. So tonight, we're also going to recognize our school bookkeepers. Did I skip one? What did I miss?
Middle school.
Middle school. I did skip one. Let me get that. All right. Middle school. So, Amherst Middle School, their FFA participated in the State Fair Forestry competition in the, I guess, the junior class, correct? Forestry Field Day, and they won. So I'm going to ask Ms. Parr to come up, and she can speak to it a lot better than I can.
So we'll see how good I do at this because I have nothing prepared. All right, so Forestry Field Day, it's 7 students. They do a series of 5 different competitions. And we've come close to first, and this year we got first. So I'll start off with Hume Campbell. So if you'll come forward, Hume. So Hume was our water accuracy guy. So he wears an Indian pump on his back, and there's a little can way away, and he has to spray into that and see how much water he can get. And I do remember off the top of my head what he got. He got 12 ounces of water in the can in a minute, I believe you guys have. So the next 2 that I'm going to recognize are Bella Torres and Olivia Hughes. Bella and Olivia were my crosscut team this year. So my first year having 2 girls for my crosscut. Last year I had a Jack and Jill team. They can cut almost as fast as the high schoolers, so good job for them. And they're girls, so go girls. Next is Jasper Tomlin and Brantley Martin. And Jasper and Brantley are our log roll team. So they have to get a log from one end of the court to the other end, spin it halfway, and keep going. I'll go back to Olivia and Bella. They are cutting a piece of wood and using a crosscut saw, a 2-man saw. So in case you don't know what that is. And then my last one is Jessie back there, Jessie Tyree. And Jesse is our bow saw guy. He's done it the last 2 years. And he has perfected his time and doing well with that. So, oh, and Preston. Sorry, guys. Preston Maddox is our log toss. So he stands at the end of the court and chucks a log as far as he can chuck it. And so his height helps us with that. And this is his first year competing with that, so he did well. So they practice from about 2 weeks into school into October, the 1st of October. So it's kind of hard to get them all organized and get them there, but they show up, they get it done, and we are so proud of them. So.
Over 20 teams in that took first.
So, yeah, there are 20 teams that competed in that competition, so.
Wow.
Great job.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, now we get to recognize our bookkeeper. Sorry. Trying to get you a little bit earlier, but Brittany wouldn't let me. So our bookkeepers, when you come into a school, they're often the first people you see when you enter the building. They're the voice on the phone, they answer the phone. They take on many hats, but they also keep our books for our schools. And there's a lot that goes into that. We don't realize, most people don't realize the amount of time and energy goes into making sure not only they keep the books, but that they're right. And we know where the money's going, how much money comes in, matches what goes out, and vice versa. So, they wear lots of hats, but again, we want to recognize them. And Mr. Connor's going to speak a little bit this later in our meeting tonight about our audit, and a lot of that audit is due to what they do in the buildings. Again, last month you had the activity account. Again, we'll talk about this later on tonight, but we do want to recognize our bookkeepers. So those that are here, just want to call your name. If you can call your name, please come forward. From Amarillo, Miss Jessica Stinnett.
Thank you.
From Amherst Elementary, Jessica Dowdy. Central, Kim Floyd. Elon, Karen Lynch. Temperance, again, Miss Bobby Campbell, and we know she's recovering from surgery. Manellison, Lori McGuire. Amherst Middle, Terry Campbell. And Amherst County High School, Donna Dodgen. Thank you. Mr. Terry? All right. So, public hearing.
Wait, sure, yeah. Okay, moving on, 3.0, public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to the school board?
You have to open the public hearing.
Oh, sorry.
Officially. Sorry.
So can I get a motion to open public hearing?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry. All right, so is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak to the board about the 25-26 school operational budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, just making sure. So,
Motion to close.
is there anything else? Anything
Motion to
else needed?
close.
Okay. Board? Got a motion?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay.
Now, public comment. We currently have one person who has signed up tonight, Ms. Ona McKinnon. Would you come forward, please? State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Ona McClennan. I live in Madison Heights. I have been driving a school bus for you for the last 13 years as of this month. I'm here tonight to express my opposition and amazement to a proposal that you will apparently deal with this evening. I'm referring to the plan to send a message to the Virginia School Board Association that this board does not support adding protection for gender identity to the Virginia Human Rights Act. Would sending this message mean that you support discrimination towards staff and students based on gender identity? How amazing it is to me that the board would want the option of treating someone differently based entirely on their gender identity. We all have a gender identity. The difference here is that some members of this board may disagree with my gender identity. There are several efforts nationally to discredit and humiliate transgender persons. Why? Because we are small in number. We don't conform to convention. We are different. And because we are different, we make people uncomfortable. We scare people. And as a result, many people want the approval of the government to treat us differently, less humanely. And many demonize us for purely political purposes. You all know by now that I am transgender. Many want to treat me differently based on the fact that I'm a member of the small transgender community. For example, just 2 days ago, a fellow school bus driver confronted me saying that I chose the wrong name for myself 8 years ago. I told this person that I believed Ona has worked well for me. This person said I was wrong and even told me that told me what they believed was the best name I should have given myself. One's name is very personal. It took me months to come up with Ona. This struck me as arrogant and insensitive, and I'm worried, is this the new normal, where opinions are not expressed only online, but to the person's face? Fortunately, many other people in this county treat me with the same fairness and respect with which they treat everyone. The email sent to the board members in November, as reported by the Daily Advance, said that protecting gender identity is not reflective of the Amherst County's values. How is this known? Was a scientific survey taken using a perfectly random selection of county residents, including a carefully calculated margin of error? Or is the board assuming that everyone in the county thinks the same way that the board members think? From personal experience, I can tell you this is not so. There is no law or policy that can legitimately say that discrimination based on gender identity is acceptable. And the absence of laws and policies addressing discrimination based on gender identity also does not mean discrimination is acceptable. By sending this message to the Virginia School Board Association, the board will be saying that a transgender person does not deserve treatment equal to the members of Virginia school boards or other members of our community. God does not pick favorites. He loves and embraces all equally and without conditions. His presence can be felt by everyone at all times and in all places. He even tells me to love all school board members, even those with whom I disagree. Fortunately, loving, respecting, and forgiving are not hard to do. I invite you to look at me directly and tell me that I'm not equal to you. It can't be done. No child of God can say that to any other child of God. I cannot and will not and would not say that to you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So that was the only one we had signed up. Is anyone from the audience who would like to approach the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Dr. Wells?
Yes,
The amended agenda, I guess that means that's students?
Students.
Good evening. I hope you are all doing well. First, I would like to start off by saying that we held our third annual Winterfest at the high school, starting on Tuesday and it went on through Wednesday. On Tuesday, it was followed by our winter concert, where our chorus and show choir sung, and on Wednesday, it was followed by improv night. A lot of the other schools have also been having a lot of holiday celebrations. AMS had a band and chorus concert at the beginning of the month. Manelson Middle School, they're holding a chorus and band concert on the 17th of this month, and they are holding a community dinner tonight. Amelon, they had cookies with Santa on the 10th, and a lot of the elementary schools are doing angel trees, which I think is a great way to spread Christmas cheer and encourage students to come to school. Later on next week, we have senior movie night, where we will be watching a Christmas movie and spending time with each other for everyone who's paid their senior dues. And we have Spirit Week next week, which is a part of our attendance competition to encourage students to come to school.
Thank you. How's it going? On that Christmas season, we have a lot going on. It's a season of giving. Our NHS did a toy drive where we collected toys, and a lot of it was from funds that we've raised for NHS. Some of our officers went to the store, and actually the town police were right outside, so we didn't even have to sort that out and just gave them the toys, the whole cart. And that was cool and convenient and exciting. Also with the giving, our class officers actually gave all the seniors little Christmas cards with candy canes. So that's exciting. We've also had different food drives at the high school and at other schools as well, just so everybody can have a happier holiday season. On that same note, we have a lot of decorations around the high school that I've seen. There's a big snowman in the library that I know a lot of people get a kick out of because it's taller than Mr. Jordan, and that's rare to come by. Our FFA had a Christmas tree sale, or is still having a Christmas tree sale. And not on the holiday season, but back to sports, what I love to talk about every time I come. Our girls basketball has had a good start to their season. They're 3-1, with our top scorer averaging over 17 points a game. She's doing phenomenal. Wrestling is also starting off well. And then I know I don't represent only the high school. I've seen multiple middle schoolers as well come to the high school for conditionings. I play soccer. I've seen several come out to conditioning more than any year I've seen before, and I know they come out for other sports as well. So that's exciting. And then what I think is pretty cool is our journalism class started a new news network, Lancer News Network, and we'll see their first airing or whatever, like their video that they've made. It's about 6 minutes long. We'll see that tomorrow for the first time. And for what I've heard, I talked to a couple of the journalism students. They said it'll be on-campus news, local news, and world news. So that'll be exciting, and we're looking forward to Christmas.
Thank you. Board, anything for our student reps? Well, I will tell you guys thanks for all that you've endured coming to all the meetings. You have 1 semester left. That's amazing that it's that close.
It's going quick.
So, like I said, just hang in there. Look forward to May
23rd for
May
them.
23rd. Gotcha.
Wow.
Scary.
Mr. Terry,
Yes, ma'am.
quick question. The new network that's going on, where do we watch it?
I know that they're sending an email to teachers. That's how students will watch it. I can find out for you where
be
other
cool.
people could watch it as well.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, he's exactly right. They're gonna send an email out tomorrow. It's actually a collaboration between our journalism class and our adaptive curriculum classes that are working together to film this. And so they're gonna send it out next week, and they're gonna do it once a week. The students they're really geared up. They wanna do it every day. We may end up doing that, but right now we're gonna do once a week, so we're really excited about it. But we'll make sure you get it out.
Thank you, sir.
Cool. Thank you. Anyone else from the board? Thank you, guys. Okay. Dr. Wells, moving on.
So on the amended agenda, item 6, approval of additional positions. So, Mr. Chair, members of the board, in my previous conversations and emails and requests throughout the month, we had a request for a position at Amelon Elementary School for an instructional assistant. And this is to meet the needs of special education students at that building. So I would ask if there's any questions, we'll be glad to try to answer those, but I would like for that position to be added. Any discussion on that first, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Board, anything for Dr. Wells?
Mr. Terry?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Wells, paying for this position
Yes.
in the long term. I don't know if we're going to keep this position. I don't know if we just have a need right now and that may change. How is that going to look
So these
for
are,
our budget?
these are coming out of title funds, Title 6B funds. However, these are needs based on individual students for this year. So as we get students transfer in or transfer out that have certain needs,
Correct.
we sometimes need to hire assistants for them. So this is a yearly, a one-year position, and then next year, that's what Title 6B funds are kind of for. So we look at things in the beginning of the year and we assess, and as we go through the year, we say, hey, we need support here, here. And that's how we do those funds. So it's not a budgeted position because we can't anticipate some of these needs.
Gotcha. So it's a flexible position.
It's a 1 year, it'll go from now to the end of the school year, and then next year we'd assess and see if we need that position or not.
Understand. Mr. Terry, that's it?
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
If I understand correctly, did you say it was being funded by a grant?
It's
Okay.
Title 6B,
Title 6B, thank you.
yes.
I don't recall seeing that email for that position, but
It was sent last month,
last month.
yes.
Okay.
And I asked you, that was part of last month and the follow-up, and then we wanted to discuss it this month. Want to give you time to,
Okay, all right, I'm back with you. I thought it was something new this month. I'm like,
no.
I don't remember
No,
seeing
sir.
that.
That was the one from, I introduced it last month to you before the board meeting, and wanted y'all have time to reflect, and then we'd discuss it this month.
Perfect.
Board, is there anything else for Dr. Wells? Okay. Need a
We have
motion?
someone to fill this position?
We would have to advertise. Yeah, nobody's in it, obviously. We haven't approved it, so.
Right, well, I didn't know if you
yeah.
had somebody in mind that you wanted to put in
No,
that
just,
position.
we have to advertise it, and then the right person for the job, hopefully, we'll find.
Okay, so you need a motion?
I need a motion to approve that position.
Okay, so board, can I get a motion?
So moved, Mr. Terry.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right. The next was, we also had a memo sent out earlier, it was last month as well, with a possible need for a math or CTE position at Manelson. I've sent a follow-up email about a week and a half ago with a proposal to change schedules around and to request a position for art because we moved staff around to have an art vacancy. Upon further review with staff here, we have really found that we would probably be best served to add a section to 2 math teachers and drop a section of robotics, 7th grade robotics, and cover the position, the need that way, as opposed to adding the position. I would recommend that we have discussion, because next year I believe we will need that position, and this is just easier to do now versus mid-year and tangling up the whole mess and making just changing schedules and everybody else. So I feel like when we do budget discussions in January and February that we consider adding a CTE position or art, whichever way it may go at Manelson, to the budget for that. But I think that'd be a discussion to have later. I think right now we can cover the math need at Manelson by adding a section to those 2 math teachers as opposed to adding a new position at the school.
Board, any discussion?
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So the
Robotics?
robotics.
Yes.
Are we dropping just a class or are we dropping all of robotics?
We would drop the 7th grade, and they will be redistributed throughout what's called the wheel, through exploratory classes. 8th grade robotics would stay. We have 2 sections of 8th grade robotics that would remain, but we would drop 7th grade robotics for this one class this year. And then hopefully, as we work through things, through the budget process for next year, we could have those classes without having to drop the whole.
11 students.
It's 11 students in that 7th grade class that have to be put into other classes for second semester.
And where would we place those 11 students into?
They will get looked at where we have vacancies and what they want to take, and we'll work it that way. Because some classes, we're not going to, if a class has 20 students, we wouldn't, another class has 15, I wouldn't put them into a class of 20. They'd be spread out amongst the other classes, those electives in that class, in that period. And Dr. Norman?
So it would be probably in our ag program or our computer apps program, our art, music, band, any of the other electives. We have a novel study So those 11 students, and the 2 math sections that we'll be picking up, we know that several of those students need additional math supports, and so they would be placed in those math remediation classes.
So sometimes those classes are usually a setup for the following year, right? So you've got like introduction to robotics, and then in 8th grade, you get a more advanced study of that. So if we take these 11 students, would they not be at the level they need to be to take the 8th grade? Or will they
So-
be behind? Will
No,
they not
sir.
get as much out of
No.
the program?
Right now, the wheel that is at both of our middle schools, they don't run on a level 1, level 2, level 3. We have to provide opportunities for students in the areas of math, in the areas of band, music, art, some type of technology, some type of ag, and some type of health and physical education. And as long as they rotate through that in a year's time frame over the 3 years, then we have met the requirements. What we try to do there is provide them multiple opportunities to do that at 6th grade level, 7th grade level, and 8th grade level. So they don't miss out. This is a second semester, so I don't even believe these 11 students are actually in the course right now.
Right.
Am I right on that? Yeah. So they would have started in January, but we're not opening that section up for them.
So they're not actually in the.
They're not in the
Yeah,
class right
It's
now.
a semester class.
All right, so we're looking at next semester. Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Mr. Childers, you got something?
Yes, all right, so for transparency, I need to make a statement that my wife works at Van Ellison and would be one of the teachers potentially affected by any moves. My concern, and I shared this via email, is that there's a disparity already between Amherst Middle and Manellison as far as the number of sections, the number of students in the sections per teacher. And when I ran the numbers, looking at 8th grade, we had 6 sections available for 8th grade students and 7 for Amherst Middle. And so my concern is that we're taking away the 7th grade robotics. And so we're reducing already
One section.
something that's already a negative for the school division. And I don't feel very good about that. I think we need to have more offerings, not less offerings.
Correct. I totally agree with you. One of the things that I'll say in regards to that is this is a fix for this year. It is mine as well as Mr. Maddox, and I know Dr. Wells' intention to come to the board to talk about the equity between the 2 middle schools in regards to the resources in related arts and CTE classes during the budget cycle. There are things that we're required to do in regards to math because Manellison is federally identified. And so that was the reason that we had to put in those additional sections of math. And in doing that, we really wanted to be able to have a position to where we wouldn't have to take away anything. But I think the board, and correct me if I'm wrong, the board would have a better understanding of what we're trying to do for the following year during budget, so you can see the long-term plan that we need. We, as you know, several years ago, we had to combine the art because we lost a position in 2014 at that school. Actually, we lost 2 positions in the CTE at that school. Those need to come back into the system there, and that's one of the things that we'll recommend to the board during budget. If you want to give us a position right now, we'll take it, but
Yeah.
I know that that's not something, we can make it work based on our requirements under the being federally identified right now.
So we wanted to, count at work, yes, without stressing the board on adding the position. Again, if you want to add a position, we will take a position, we will make the change. However, we can do what we need to do for math without adding the position right now. But again, during budget season, I do think we need to really look at the two programs in both schools and what positions we may need and the equity there between the two. And also look at how courses are set up as well. And we can have those conversations during budget. But again, both options are there. I just feel that we can make it work with the second one I presented to you earlier in the week, as opposed to adding a position.
And I appreciate that, and you and I have had a few conversations about basically getting the job done, right? You know, the last thing I want for our school division is to just get it across the line, right? I don't want to just barely meet standards or barely, yeah, we can get it done, but it's not going to be
Yes.
perfect. It's not going to be great. Right. I don't want to get by, because if we're just getting by, what is that doing to our students? What's that doing to our community? And so I am a proponent, if we've got budget, if we got a person in mind to teach, because you're talking about creating a new position, I think that's where we should be going, because it's about how are we affecting our students long-term, right? Because these
Absolutely.
courses, they have a profound effect on our kids as they're thinking about career opportunities and what they get to experience in these CTE courses. And quite frankly, the kids at Manalasan are already being cheated because they don't have the same opportunities that the smaller middle school has. So, and again, I can appreciate you wanting to, let's get by, but I don't want a school division that just gets by. I want a school division that's going to excel, and we're not going to just make the mark, we're going to exceed the mark. And that's my piece.
Ms. Justin, did you have something? Okay.
Of the students, the 11 students that would be removed from the 7th grade class, you said several needed math remediation, so I presume they would be going into math classes during that time. Of those that don't need the remediation, is there room to put them in the 8th grade? Robotics.
The class schedule's different
Oh.
because it's how they set it up. First and second period is one grade level, second, third and fourth is another grade level, so it wouldn't match.
And we are keeping the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade robotics club, that anybody can participate in that as well.
So I'll present this, I'll just leave it to the board. Y'all, we have two options. We can make both are viable options. It's up to the board and your budget process, and if you want to add the position, I'll gladly do it, but I want to give you another option besides that in case there were concerns about adding a position to the budget.
So, Dr. Wells, what is the budget impact? And that may be a question for Ms. Carnage.
Sorry.
So obviously, both will have a budget impact. The full FTE would be more. If it's the desire of the board, we could do that. We just know that our enrollment's down. We're looking at sales tax, where we may have to make decisions later in the year, but we can.
What does that mean?
Well, once we get an updated calc tool and we see exactly what our revenue is going to be looking like, we talk about how we try to hold money back for an extra bus. Everything, if you spend it on one thing, it's going to be, what's the offset? So if it's the desire of the board, we can certainly put it in there and then just put that in there to our analysis as we
For
prepare.
a half-year position.
For the half year, correct.
So a half-year position, somebody with a intro position, it'd be roughly $25,000 in salary, and then another.
Right. I usually, when I do my budget, think 75,000 for a full year. So, and then, that, whether they take benefits or not, that, there's some variables
So
there.
roughly $33,000 for a half year is what it would be for the budget.
And
What's the position?
which position would it be?
It'd be art.
Art.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, no, it wouldn't be art. You
Well-
already have art.
Well, we were
Well,
talking about
Switching around.
switching teachers, which we had that, if somebody moved into.
Right, but we're not talking about creating a new art position. You already have art.
Hire,
But what's the new position you would
So
be
what's the new
creating?
position?
well,
That's what they're asking.
yeah, the position would be a CTE position, but we would move.
You'd be hiring an art teacher.
Or not
Okay,
teacher,
I'm back.
Because we would move, well, an existing staff member into that position. How's that?
Thank you.
Dr. Wells, you want me to?
Mr. Maddox?
Go, yes.
Yeah, so
one thing that you have to understand is if we move and we take that and move that whole position into CTE right now, that the person that moves in would probably not be doing the robotics. They would move and do something like computer solutions. And then we would come back in the spring and have conversations and build a curriculum for the new technology class that we would like to start next year. So understand that, and that was one of the things we looked at. If we do this, then we're going to remove robotics. We might be able to keep the 2 8th grade, but the others we would have to move to get the sections of math in that we need. And then those kids would be in computer solutions, which would be more of spreadsheets, Google Docs, things like that, which is good for all kids to know, but it's really not where we want to go moving forward into next year.
Yes, ma'am.
So, if I understand correctly, if the board were to authorize another teacher, the robotics class would still be gone? Am I
Yes, in order to get the math classes I need, the robotics teacher teaches the math classes. So
One section would go away.
that one section would still have to go away because I need that person to teach math. But it would free up the wheel, and some other things would free up to make it, those students would have somewhere to go. If I dropped the robotics, they would have to go to those other positions. So it's,
Can I explain something?
Sure.
So right now, we have students in the wheel who first 9 weeks, they took art class. And so because we don't have enough slots in the wheel, because we lost a couple of positions back several years ago, some students actually rotate through in 4th 9 weeks. They'll have art a second time, or they'll have music a second time, or they'll have computer apps a second time. And so this would allow for us to open up more slots to where that kid who took art first 9 weeks doesn't have to go through the process of taking art the last 9 weeks. And they get another opportunity, another related arts class to participate in, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Mr. Terry,
Yes, sir.
why we don't just hire another math teacher? If this is where
the
we're
problem I
lacking.
have is I can find an
Finding a
art
math
teacher a lot easier than I can hire a math teacher, because math teachers are those that can teach, have jobs right now because it's middle of the year. Art teachers, I don't have the same requirements for art that I do for math, and I need a highly qualified math teacher to lead these math remediations and math courses. I wouldn't want to put somebody in here who's never taught math, even if they might have a math degree, into these courses, because I need somebody that I know can get the kids where I need them, as opposed to with art,
We have December graduates.
I don't have an SOL in art. I have an SOL in math that we have.
I understand that, and I also understand that we haven't been doing so good at math, and
That's
that's
why
why
we-
we're in this position. So do we need to look at next year budget, looking for a math
We'll
teacher?
have several options coming to you during budget season.
Okay. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So, we're talking about hiring another art teacher, right?
Right, we would move
And
our current
moving an art
our
teacher.
current art teacher who has CTE endorsement can go teach the CTE class that we would add. We would hire an art teacher to replace the CTE teacher who's currently teaching art, right? So that opened up the art section. And then our math, we would, because those students that are in robotics would come out of robotics, that would open up my sections for robotics. From robotics, that math teacher can teach more math classes.
Okay, so the math teacher is just going to get more sections for math.
Yes. So that's if we add a position. If you don't add a position, 2 sections of robotics remain. I add a section, a 6th period to 2 math teachers' classes, that 2 math teachers' schedules, and they can teach an extra subject, an extra class per day, and do the math work that way. And you don't add the position, but you still add the sections of math. And I just pay them an extra money.
$4,000 or $5,000.
Right.
That's
So-
just to get us through this semester.
And that'll get through the semester.
Right.
Yes,
Then
sir.
we fight it on the budget end for next year.
In January. in February. and
But
March.
either way we do it, we lose the robotics class.
We lose at least one section of robotics either way. You use 7th grade robotics either way. If we add the position, I may have to lose another section, the other robotics, because I need that teacher to teach the 2 sections of math.
Correct.
So,
Okay.
sorry.
Hey, well, at least
Just trying to explain it so
I understand.
give multiple
Understand.
options.
Okay. Anything else? Mr.
So, I
Childers?
guess my final question, Dr. Wells, is, so you presented 2 options to the board.
Yes.
What is your preferred option?
So, I knew that was coming.
I'm always going to ask it.
From a budgetary standpoint, I'm going to give you 2 answers. So
No, I want to know what your preferred one is. I wanna
my
hear 2.
preferred one would be what causes the least amount of disruption to the school would be to add the 2 sections to those math teachers already have, and that would cause the least disruption to the building this year. And then to talk to you very seriously, have serious conversations during budget season about adding the CT position for next year, so we can make sure we're scheduled that in and we have it locked in our budget and locked into school. So when the school year starts, that position's there. So I think the least disruption is to add 2 sections, add a section to those 2 math teachers' courses, and that has the least change to staff who are already teaching classes, having to pick up a new curriculum and start something brand new middle of the year, but it also disrupts the building the least as far as the schedules and routines and things of that nature as well. So that'll be my recommendation.
Which would have the most impact on instruction? Or the better impact on instruction, I guess specifically math.
For math, I would feel that doing the 2 sections of math to those 2 math teachers would probably impact math the most right now.
Well, that's, Mr.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
That's the bottom line anyways. Isn't that why we in this?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna use your word, wheel, is because we're trying to deal with the math situation, according to the reports that we've been getting.
Correct.
So it could be a short-term fix, I understand that, but for right now, it's gotta be a fix,
Right.
because we got issues there.
Regardless of what we do,
Yeah.
I have to add 2 sections of math.
Yeah, that's
How
what
I
I
get
wanted
there
to hear.
is,
And I understand, Ms. Childers, too, about I mean, I don't have a problem if we need a position, but from what you're saying, giving you that right now is not gonna be a big deal. I mean, it's not, I'm sure you would say, I need a position if you needed one. Is that right?
if I couldn't make it work,
You would tell us that.
you would not have gotten a second email.
Yes, yeah, I read all your emails 2 or 3 times, but, so, I mean, I think if somebody asked the same thing, less disruption, especially for the students and also for the staff. I don't
Yes,
want to say
ma'am.
that just, and to try to deal with this math situation is what your recommendation was
Yes.
just now.
Yes, ma'am.
But coming up, when it's time for budget questions, then this would need to be right up there again. Is that right?
Correct.
And what position is that?
It's,
No, in the budget.
it's a CTE
I
position.
guess, art, something to do with art. I
Well,
mean, I'm not
career-
stupid, but I'm just trying to see what's going on here.
It's in the career and technical
CT,
education, so it'd
yeah.
probably be in the business / computer apps /
Okay,
technology.
and that's looking.
In that realm.
That's what you're looking for
Yes, ma'am.
in
Mr.
the
Terry?
budget.
Yes, sir.
Good job, I'm
You
sorry.
did, I'm good.
Last question for me. So I don't want to knock our math teachers because I know they're doing everything they can.
Correct.
And I know there's real struggle out there. I've seen it. I know, I understand. What do our CTE teachers think about taking on this position? Are they on board with it because they were teaching other classes and putting them into the math position? Is that something
No, so
that
what
they're
we
on
would-
board with? Are we going to ask them, hey, step out of here and do this just
So-
because you've got this tool in your
Right.
toolbox?
Yeah.
We're not going to throw them into, the lion's den and
The
not support?
right. The teacher that is doing the robotics is also one of our strongest math teachers. And her ability to do robotics is because of her strength in math. So it would really strengthen the math by having her teach an extra section of math. And our other teacher is also one of our stronger math teachers that we would add to section 2. So these are current math teachers, but one of them just teaches math and robotics. So we would just take that section of robotics away and add a section of math.
Well, I understand that, but I also understand that I may be really, really good at something,
Yeah.
but I can do other things, and I really have a passion for this. And I don't want to take that away from our teachers.
The conversations have been positive with the staff.
Yes, ma'am.
Final question. Either choice, doesn't give more access to math to the students. You're going to serve the same number of students either way?
With math,
Adding two
Yes.
sections.
I'm adding 2 sections of
Okay,
math,
so it does, either way. Thank you.
Yeah.
so it adds math.
So, Dr. Wells, you need
Well, I
approval.
I don't need to add the 2 sections, I don't need approval, because I'm not hiring somebody.
Okay.
If you want to add a position, yes, you would have to vote and approve. So that comes to you. If you just want me to add the 2 sections of math to those 2 teacher schedules, it's done. I don't need your approval there. If you want me to add a position, then that's what you need to vote on if you wanted a position.
Okay. So in listening to it, I mean, it sounds like if we hired that extra position, the bang wouldn't be as big as we thought it would, as it sounds like it might be. That's just what I'm hearing, unless I'm hearing it wrong. So I would lean toward making the switches that you've got listed, but I'm up for the board's privy.
Mr. I do believe that, you know, to get through this semester, obviously, we have a math crisis we're trying to mitigate, and I think that we're in the middle of budget talks, obviously, so positions will be discussed for next year. And I think that with the minimum amount of disruption and qualified teachers, adding those two classes is the right thing to do to move us through the rest of the semester, without a doubt.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Liam?
Okay.
Okay. I think we're good. Dr. Wells,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry it took so long to get there.
Hey, I'm glad.
Need to understand, so.
We're fine. So the next action item you had was legislative positions. So last month, the board had discussion on the VSBA legislative positions. You voted on the current positions that were taken, that Ms. Ligon took to represent the board to the VSBA conference, and she voted per your request. There was also a request by Ms. Justice to review previous legislative positions taken by the VSBA. During the conversation, recommended the board research those positions and reconvene at a later date to discuss. And I was asked by the board members tonight to place these positions on the agenda tonight. So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to turn it over to you for discussion.
Okay. So, board, is there any discussion of the legislative positions?
If the board approves, one thought I'd have is, so that we could give more time to student achievement tonight, that we Amherst just consider requesting VSBA not represent them when they're lobbying. So we would still be members of the VSBA, we would still be getting legislative updates and everything. It's just they wouldn't be representing us when they're lobbying at the state level.
Any other, yes, ma'am.
What if it was a position that we actually wanted them to lobby for us? Then we would be excluded from that, correct?
Yes, or you could choose to have a legislative committee, a governance committee, like some of the other districts have, and each board member would appoint 2 people from their district to that committee, and then the board would direct that committee to research their priorities and come up with their own positions, which if we're not, if we were to, as a board, if we were to send a letter that says, we don't want you to represent us, you don't represent Amherst in these 4 areas, we would still need to formulate our own legislative position to then be sent to the legislators, so.
So would that be for anything going forward, right? Not looking backwards, but any legislative positions that's 2025 or?
Well, it's going
Going forward.
backwards too, because right now they use all of the legislative positions in the book to lobby, and then if there's a legislative action being presented, if it's not represented by a previous legislative position or a current legislative position, then the executive director and the president have a conversation and decide how VSBA should go forward. And that happens in the crossover time, usually because there's not enough time to get all the members together to take a vote.
I guess I'm still a little confused by a lot of this because, you know, I don't want to make a decision on something that happened 10 years ago, let's say, that doesn't seem quite, it's not one of these quick decisions that I would feel comfortable making. I would like to have, have more thought into that. So that's why I go with that.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess, and I'm not going to go on and on, I don't know where this is coming from, really. I mean, let's just say we have a book in front of us of laws and regulations. Whether you want them or not, the book is still there. It doesn't mean you have to want it. So I don't know what it is that we're trying, just somebody help me understand what are you asking us to do?
So what I am just suggesting is that rather than have a discussion tonight about.
No, I mean, I don't care when the discussion is, I just know, what are we discussing?
The individual legislative positions that
Right.
were brought up last month. What I'm saying is, instead of doing that, just say,
You want to cut ties with it altogether?
no, ma'am, that would be taking out our VSBA membership.
Right.
This would be just saying, you don't represent Amherst when you're lobbying at the legislature.
Isn't that the same thing?
No, if we removed ourselves from VSBA membership,
No,
we'd
no, I
save
mean, is
ourselves
it,
$17,000.
so what in there would you not want them to lobby for? I did what you said in Williamsburg, you were behind me, so you
Yes,
heard
ma'am.
what I said. So if you either for it or you're not for it, so what are you saying now? Just don't, you want to start your own governance committee?
Well, a lot of districts do have their own
Who?
governance, Bedford.
But I mean, did this
Lynchburg,
board decide on that?
Right. They
Did
would
this
have to
board
do-
decide on that?
No, ma'am, that's why it's up for discussion.
Okay, so let's just see, what is it, I still want to know, what is it that you want to do?
I'm suggesting that for now, we just send a letter saying, right now, you don't lobby for Amherst.
Isn't that? I really, I'm not gonna, this is Christmas time, I'm not gonna get crazy, and I don't get crazy anyway, but I think there's a question here that I'm not getting answered. I mean, what brought this on?
Well, we've got scheduled to
We-
do legislative discussion, pardon?
What-
On
what-
our agenda, we have a
Yeah. No, but I mean, why is it there?
Why is it there? Because there have been questions brought forward
From?
from the community, from my research of reading it. Have you read the whole handbook?
What handbook? The
The,
VSBA
the
one?
two, yes,
I've
ma'am.
been for 25 years.
Okay, so,
But that doesn't mean that the board can make any decision. Let me just be clear, and then I'm gonna leave it alone. You say you don't want the VSBA to represent you in
I
Richmond.
didn't say that. I said.
Certain things.
I said to avoid a conversation tonight so we can focus on student achievement instead of
Exactly.
politics.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Isn't
So-
that what's happening? That's
Yes,
what's happening.
VSBA has become very political. I went to the
Okay.
conference, how much of it
Can we
was spent on
table,
student
can we table
achievement?
this, please?
So recommendation, sir,
Yes, sir.
would be if the board so chooses, that you convene a special board meeting sometime in January after our normal regular board meeting, that y'all can sit down as a board and discuss this if you so desire, but as opposed to during tonight our regular board meeting, or you figure out how you want to table this altogether. That's up to you and the board. But if you do want to continue discussion, I would recommend we have a special session at some point in January to have that conversation.
Okay. So, Board, I kind of agree that if we want to discuss this further, we need to have this as its own thing instead of sitting here till 10 o'clock tonight. So,
Mr. Terry,
yes, sir.
could I just ask, so what does it mean, really, and I think more for the audience, when we talk about the VSBA saying they're representing Amherst County? What does that really mean? Like, if we send a letter, as she suggests, or if we send a letter saying don't represent us on one thing or whatever, what does that mean for the VSBA, and what does that mean for Amherst County? Like, what's really happening behind the scenes if a letter is sent?
Can you answer that, Ms. Justice, how that, or Ms. Ligon, exactly how that?
Okay. So currently, as VSBA members, VSBA goes to the legislature, talks with the committees, the boards, the representatives, the delegates, et cetera, and says, school boards in Virginia who are represented by VSBA are opposed to you teachers getting supplemental VRS matching for their school bus driving. I don't think that's something that Amherst is opposed to, or that VSBA member boards, which would include Amherst, is opposed to the money following the child to the educational choice of that parent for their child. If we send, according to the VSBA handbook, if Amherst doesn't agree with that lobbying, which is an effort to change laws and code, that we need to send a letter to VSBA stating that we don't want them to do that.
Right, so, but what that means in the end, and that's the piece I'm trying to get out so I think our audience can really understand what it is we're talking about, is that when they do that lobbying, they basically say, we have all these schools and with all the names that say, yes, these are in support of this agenda. And that helps to support them as they lobby and push
Yes.
for whatever topic it is,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
let's, to be honest, it's politics, a lot of it, right? And so what you're suggesting is that we send a letter to the VSBA that says, you know what? We'll participate in the VSBA for the other stuff, but we don't want you to have our name associated with any lobbying, period. Okay. Just want to make sure I understood what we're talking about.
So, like, Board, if we want to continue this discussion, I believe it should be tabled to a different time next month after our regular board meeting, at a time that is convenient for those who would like to have this conversation. So, is there any objection to that? Okay, so Dr. Wells, can you and Brittany
We
work?
will work out.
Work out.
Send some information out to the board and try to,
Nail down something.
nail down a time. and a
Gotcha.
date. Yes, sir.
Okay. Dr. Wells, moving on to 7.0.
You should have the consent agenda, sir.
Okay. Board, has everybody seen the items on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve?
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor to approve the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye. Dr. Wells?
All right, thank you, sir.
7.
Next, we have the old 7 and the new 8. Depends on how we look at it. So next, we have the administrative items, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Hoden.
Yes, so, been real busy with construction here lately. I'm going to let Mr. Roke start off with the construction project that relates to the auditorium cafeteria at the high school.
Good evening, Board.
There we go. Terrible when you gotta use your glasses to turn on the mic. We are old. But anyway, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So the construction project, as Dr. Hoden mentioned, continues to progress. Have gotten to a point now from the outside of the building, you'll see minimal changes to the outside. Still see some, but it is still progressing. So the first picture you actually here is the conceptual drawing that was used on all of our architectural drawings and things like that to give you a comparison of where we are today. Other than I wish you could have gotten a picture with the lift out of there, but sort of the same angle type of thing. And so we are getting there and making great progress as we move along. This is the wall from the parking lot. The tall section is, of course, the auditorium. The section to the right is the classrooms. That's actually the band classroom on the back side there. Windows will start to go in. This is on the left picture is the hallway down toward the band room and the sort of right where the chorus room is. And the picture on the right is what we call Main Street, right above the new restroom. That is looking into the existing part of the school. The top part of the glasses are looking over top the girls' locker room, but that is over top the new restroom in the Main Street. On the back hallway, where the classrooms are, you can see all the windows are in, with the frame. It's most of the glass is in too. The door has not been placed up yet, but as you can see on the right-hand picture, that's a shot of what we're looking at now as well. And other things, like I said, a lot of times you don't see unless you're walking through there. The left picture is all the HVAC equipment over top of the new cafeteria, as well as some of the electrical wiring being pulled into the junction boxes, and this is back in the band equipment room. In addition to that, back over Thanksgiving break on that Wednesday, we shut the power off to that back half of the school, put in 2 disconnects with Morse Electric to install the disconnects. So now we can control the power within the construction area at part of the school. So we need to install new electrical equipment, things like that. We no longer have to rely on AEP to kill the power of the transformer. So that was a big, huge success there. We can control the destiny. Now we have a lot more control of when we cannot do those type of things. So all those things are taking shape. Over the next few weeks, several things will be occurring. Some minor brickwork is continuing out on the cafeteria end. We hope to get that brickwork done. The steel erectors are in this week, putting the roof over top the existing entranceway. We had some issues there that they have worked out with engineering. So we hope to have everything capped off in there, hopefully by Saturday or maybe Monday of next week. They are working this weekend, from what I understand, as well as if you remember walking through the addition, the end up toward the coach's office, and that end up had we have a nice skylight up there right now, but they're closing all that in hopefully this week. So they're doing that. A lot of things going on, a lot of electrical work, and they actually today, I'll have pictures next month. They actually set the HVAC units today on the back part of the over top of the classrooms. So that was another big event that's going on. Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't know where the break was in my pictures. And this is the shop in the auditorium. This is looking from the flat part of the auditorium seating area, looking up on the stage. As you can see, most of the building, particularly in the auditorium and the classroom parts, have had the block primed. And this is in the auditorium. Of course, they got the first coat of black paint on there. And, wait to get some more finishing work done. Most of the HVAC work is done in there. The electricians are in there now, installing all the electrical wiring for lights and those type of things. Sprinkler systems are in there also this week. In addition to that, they also started this week putting the catwalk up, coming across the auditorium. So about, I don't know, probably 10 to 15 foot in the seated section from the stage will be a catwalk all the way across there where you can adjust the lights and those type of things. Where in the existing auditorium, we had to install scaffolding, climb up the scaffolding. It was not the best of situations. So this will be real good when it gets in, and we'll get this up and running. This is the ground view back on 11/1/2023. I took out a lot of the pictures we've been sort of going over the last few months, but I do have an aerial shot from Jameson Lewis's drone, and this is a drone shot back on, I think, December the 5th. And it gives you an idea of what the construction footprint looks like from overhead with the new addition out there. And the new cafeteria sort of down at the bottom of the stage. You can see that on like 45-degree angle, and the staggered steps where the addition comes in, and the cafeteria, and that wall where the cafeteria, all the students, everything will be sitting to eat, as well as the new, if you follow it up the hallway, up the hall there, you can see the roof covered in. That was called Main Street. So a lot of improvements, a lot of advancements over the last few weeks, and still a ways to go, but we'll continue making progress.
Or anything for Mr. Rooks?
Mr. Terry?
Yes, sir. Oh, okay.
Okay, good.
So that's the Building A. Second part is the field house. So the field house slab was poured last week. It is resting comfortably under some blankets with the weather temperatures. The forms you see have been removed, and they did a monolithic pour, which basically means they poured the footers and the floor at the same time. That will be uncovered sometime later this week, and then next Monday they will begin placing the steel. So there you see they're placing the gravel, and there is the pour that started at 6 a.m., correct?
Yeah, nice early Friday morning last week.
One of the coldest mornings we had, but
It was a great day. Great day. Had fun by all.
and just some more pictures of them finishing the concrete, and that looks like glass floor. Okay, there it was. It was cut, and then they immediately covered it to make sure that it was protected.
And I will note, Justin Faulkner, how you like those pictures with the picture of the trees reflecting in the concrete? Quite nice, isn't it? Thank you.
All right.
But anyway, you can see some of the things that are going on. Like I said, finishing the roof of an existing building, continue electrical, mechanical, continue the painting aspect, and then, like Dr. Hoden said, beginning erection of the field house Monday.
And then the doors for the auditorium actually came today, so they'll start putting those in this week and next week, so to get that all weathered in.
Awesome.
Questions?
Board, anything for Dr. Hoden?
Mr. Terry?
Yes, sir.
So we had a little incident pop up in the kitchen that I assume has been taken care of. So how long before we get the other kitchen up and going and we can forget about that ever happening?
Well, that item was actually obsolete. It was a freak incident that just, it arced. It was an old motor, if you will.
Yeah, it had absolutely nothing to do with the construction. There's an actuator motor that controlled the gas that went to the old hood system that has been taken out years ago when they did some type of construction work in the cafeteria. Unfortunately, electricity was left on that device, and what happens is the capacitor that drove that motor burned up. It actually, it arced a little bit and smoked, and that was it. Since then, we have removed that aspect of it. Will never happen again. To answer your question, the new kitchen, once we can get the cafeteria opened up, which we're hoping is into April, in the new addition part, if we can get the existing cafeteria released so we can get in there. So the new kitchen will actually reside in about midway of the existing cafeteria. So we got to get that out, get the students in the new section, and hopefully we get started on that before the end of the school year, because it's going to be a long, busy summer trying to get that new kitchen up and running before we start school in September, in August rather.
The April, May, we'll be moving everything from the band and choir. They'll be moving back into those classrooms, so then we can start on there, and then we'll also be able to use that auditorium in May.
We anticipate the kitchen being open when school starts.
Great.
Whatever the first day of school is, we should be cooking in that kitchen.
All right, awesome. Some of the students are hoping the food gets better with it. Just saying.
Any other questions, Mr. Terry?
Board, anything for?
Yep,
Yes, sir.
just, Dr. Oden, how are we doing on change orders for the project? And
We have not had many change orders recently. We've been able to kind of keep those under. A couple of the things we've done direct, we had to change some lights. We had to change a couple other projects, and we just did those on our own, so that we kind of keep that under wraps.
Anything else, board? Thank you, Dr. Hood.
All right, next on my agenda, we did receive the school safety grant. We received $213,383. And in that, we are working on, so the camera systems in the elementary schools are pretty obsolete, so we have been working slowly to get those. So we'll work on getting those improved. Hopefully, a lot of that work will be done over Christmas break, so those principals will have those new camera systems. Also was able to get some new radios for communication, so we've upgraded some of our radios, kind of shift them down so the administration will get some new ones, and then make sure our custodians will have some, and then also in the elementary school, we'll be able to give those to our teachers outside on recess, so they'll have communication where if anything happened, and then our PE teachers that go outside, or like at the high school, Mr. Mays, he'll be able to take a radio out. He has a cell phone, but it's also nice to have a radio, so awesome radios. And then another thing that we purchased were some updated UPS battery backups. They not only filter the current coming in, but then also if we lose power, they're able to power some of our devices for a short time. So those are some of the other things we purchased. And then we're also going to upgrade the security door hardware in the interior at Central. So lots of things planned, lots of things going. The windows are almost done at the high school, the exterior windows, and we put an RFP out today for the other elementary schools. So hopefully that'll be work in progress here right after the break.
Board, anything for Dr. Hood? Yes, sir.
Sorry. Dr. Oden, have we done any studies on like EMS radios, emergency radios in our buildings? For
So Mr. Rhodes has lots of experience with that. I'm going to let him talk about that for a minute.
Yes. Overall, we have, I would say, fairly decent coverage throughout the buildings. Obviously, we have dead spots anytime you come inside concrete and metal and stuff like that. You're going to have not as good service. One of the options to actually say we have done a study of our buildings, no, we have not. In my previous career as a consultant with a company, I did Rockingham County, all the Harrisonburg City schools and Rockingham County schools, where we actually go through and test different devices and get readings throughout the school. And it gives us an idea of where we need to and do not need to put what's called BDAs, or bidirectional antennas, basically a booster system in the school. So to my knowledge, that's never been there. When I was here as director of public safety, we have tried things out. When we went from an analog system years ago to a new digital system, what they currently use today, the penetration is better. But to say we have 100% coverage at the schools, we've never tested that. And, you know, I do feel we probably have some dead areas we could look at in the schools.
Yeah, I think it's important, especially new construction. You'll
Right.
find out in this edition, you're going to have very limited coverage if it works at all in there. And I think it's important. It's easy to do those studies. I'm sure you've participated in it. I mean, when I'd done it in Louisa, I get with the SRO and we set it up with dispatch that we're going to be doing radio calls throughout the building. And we literally walk the building from stem to stern, every floor, every nook and cranny, and made decisions on installing the BDA. And so I'm actually going through that process now and getting that in all of our schools. So.
Right. Actually, on the radios themselves, depending on how they're programmed, you know, particularly like with Harris, we use Harris radios here. And with the Harris radios, the radio I had as a consultant, we could program it, and actually it shows you the level. It gives you the decibel levels of where you're at, where, you know, where's penetration, those type of things. So we can actually tell you, I mean, yes, talking back and forth, that's a great test. It tells you where you cannot talk. But also we can have the data that says, hey, you're at X decibel here and you're at X decibel here. So you know exactly where you need to put the BDAs at.
So Mr. Rokes, for those of you that don't know, in his previous life was in there. So he's quite the expert on radio, so it's nice to have him on with that. One note that I will say, I went to the Region 5 meeting last week, and we still have 3 districts that don't have buses in their radios, which I was quite shocked at that. So we're doing pretty well with the radios. All right, next on my agenda, Mr. Terry, members of the board, is a Verizon wireless tower. They have given us a proposal for the grounds at Manelson Middle School. And as you will see, that area where the star is way back behind the fields and the woods back there. It's a 75 by 75 area that they wish to lease. They can't give the exact location until they do a study. But so the procedure for this is that if you would seek them to go further and you approve it, then they have to go through the county, but they have to go through you first. So if you entertain any interest, I would have Nathan Holland come and do the presentation next week. And then if you approved it, then it would go to the county. So it's a lengthy process, and you have the first right of refusal. It's a 195-foot tower. What they're proposing is for the lease, they would it's $800 a month, $9,600 a year, and it would be, the first term would be a 5-year lease with then 4-year options after that.
Mr. Terry?
Okay. Yes, sir.
On that cell tower, are we going to get the money for the school district, or is the county going to pick it up? Because it has to go through
It's
the
us.
county.
It's our property. Yes.
They'd have to go through the zoning process.
Sometimes county can do what the county does.
And one thing, just to clarify, the company is Cellco, and it is a Verizon tower. And
I do know from living in the area that there are spots right there that are completely dropping calls, and being that close to the school kind of concerning.
they say it's very,
Woody's Lake
very
is-
needed as
drops out
a
real
study.
good.
Yes, sir.
So again, what we could do, if the board desires, we could have them come back in January, do a presentation. You could hear from them as far as all the ins and outs. And then if so chooses, the board so chooses, then we could take that from then to the board, let them go to the board of supervisors and start the process. But this will just, again, if you want to hear more about it in January, just to hear about it, then you can make a decision after that.
Dr. Hoden, is that in the woods or is that on the edge of a field?
It would be actually in the woods slightly.
Go that one more, Brittany.
The tower location.
Right about there.
Yeah, right about there.
Gotcha.
So it's into the woods a little bit. Now they have to do a little bit more study for the actual, but that's the proposed.
Okay.
And there has to be a fall area too for where our property line is, and it gets a little bit complicated on that, but that's the approximate from the study.
Our property goes down to the creek behind
Okay.
there, which is about 300 feet.
Okay.
Mr. Terry?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do we have any cell towers on any of our other school properties? We thought about having like a focus group or something for parents to find, because I don't know how many parents are going to be keen about a cell tower being so close to the school where their kids are.
Well, doesn't it have to get still approved by
Yes.
the
Yes.
county and all this stuff?
Yes,
think we
and
need-
that's why that's why they want to place it where they are. It's not close to the school.
That's about as far as you can get. But again, what I would like to do is have them come speak to you
I would too.
next month, and then y'all can make a decision after you hear from them directly.
Not pros or cons, this is your choice. And again, that you are only the first in the long
Right.
leg. So if you are interested for him to even come and do the demonstration
Right.
for you next month, that is when you would approve or disapprove. If you approve, then it goes down the line to planning, and there's, again, quite the lengthy that they have to follow.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it going to be a 5G tower?
I would imagine, yes.
Okay, thank you,
Everything's
sir.
5G.
Yeah, everything.
We did have a request earlier last year to look at the high school property along 29, but that company went with a different position, but it was down below the parking lot on the edge of 29. They were looking at that, but that company didn't want to follow through with that. They went with another option. But this will be the first place on the school property for a cell tower.
Not looking at Elon anymore, are we?
No.
No, that one already went on the Albert property, so.
That was a nightmare.
All right, thank you. So board, I think it'd behoove us to at least have a presentation to hear what he's got to say. We can make decisions at that point. Any objection? Okay, Dr. Hood?
We'll get
Okay, I will set that up and let Nathan know and have that for you next month.
Thank you, sir.
All right, 7:02, student suspensions. You have in front of you the student suspensions for November. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then we have
The website.
yeah. So, Mr. Chair, next we have our website presentation with Ms. Baleko, and I'll have her come forward to the podium, and she can fill you in on where we are with the website discussion.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for your time this evening. I do have a brief update for you where we are with regards to the website. As we've been working through the process of gathering information so that we can make decisions on the website, we have held meetings and met individually with all of our building level leaders. We have met with all of our school-based web managers, as well as we've met with staff from all of the departments within the division. The idea behind meeting with all of those individuals is to seek their input, their thoughts and their opinions on how the current website is working for us, what the user experience has been, the organization, and thoughts on the overall evaluation of the website meeting our needs. I would tell you that in those conversations, there has been a consistency in the messages received. There's been consistency in concerns, and there has also been some consistency in what, as a division, we want to see moving forward, which has all been positive when you think about the process. In addition, we did convene a 9-person committee that just came together to discuss and review the website. And the members of that committee, we had 5 departments represented. We had instructional staff from both our elementary and our secondary schools, and both of those individuals are current web managers, so they have a lot of firsthand knowledge with working with a website. And then also we did have a school board member representative, and we do appreciate Mr. Childress and the time that he spent with the committee. The committee held 3 meetings. The first meeting was on November the 12th, and that was an introductory meeting where we talked about the purpose, what we were hoping to do, and just some general discussions about the current website and how we would like to move forward. The second meeting was on November the 26th, and we had 4 potential website vendors present to the committee. They gave a presentation, and then it allowed for some question and answer between the committee members and the vendors, and then some general discussion about the layouts and designs and what we are hoping to see moving forward. And then our final meeting was earlier this week, where the committee came together to discuss our final recommendations. The committee does have a final recommendation for a provider, as well as some thoughts on the design and the layout. And we revisited some of the discussions that we had about the website from the first meeting. So at this point, I do have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning to meet with Dr. Wells to present to him the recommendations of the committee. And that recommendation will include which vendor the committee recommends that we go with, thoughts on the design and layout for him to make choices on, as well as content for the new website. Are there any questions?
Board, any questions?
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
9. Got it right this time. 9.
Finance, Mr. Connage.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Tonight, we're presenting the financial reports through November. There's really no new items, nothing to note that's different from my last month's reporting. We are anxiously, the one thing I do want to point out is that we are anxiously awaiting the new calc tool, both for starting the budget prep for the next school year, but also to see any revenue changes that will impact this year. The calc tool that should come out next week, if we're lucky, will provide updated numbers based off of our fall ADM, and we're hoping that perhaps they will adjust basic aid because sales tax is coming in lower. So I will have more information on that next month once we have a chance to see that and review it. I'll pause now if you have any questions on the reports before I go to my next item.
Board, any questions for Mr. Connage? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So the next item is, last month we had presented the Brown Edwards report of the student activity audit for the 23-24 school year. So the first thing we want to do is go back a year further and to see where we stood at the end of 22-23. We had 2 schools that received perfect audits, and that was Amelon Elementary and Amherst Elementary. The auditors identified some areas they wanted us to focus on to improve, and you'll see them listed on the slide. It was mentioning the accounting software that we were using at the time, a lot to do with cash receipts and disbursements, segregation of duties, and lack of written processes. So we took that listing seriously and we started doing some work. The next slide will actually give you by school the area of the weaknesses. As you look across, you will see that for Elin, they really struggled that year and had findings in each of those program areas. And that school quickly became a focus for the 23-24 school year, and we wanted to address those issues. One area of focus that they mentioned again was the school's activity accounting software. So I wanted to give a special thanks to Monet Davis, our accounting coordinator, and Joy Foster, a former school bookkeeper. We could not have gotten this done in the time that we did without their assistance. And I know Monet is in the audience today, so thank you. Phase 1 of the School Funds Online went live July 1st of 2024. So we have that in place currently. We are working on Phase 2, which is the School Cash Online, which allows for electronic payments in hopes of reducing the cash that's going into the schools. The next focus was a review of our processes and our trainings. We held a bookkeeper boot camp to review best practices and discuss challenges. This was a full-day boot camp for our bookkeepers. Our principals, we had them come for only a half of the day. At this training, we distributed a receipt writing guide to give to your teachers and activity sponsors, just really stressing the documentation and receiving of all those receipts. We also started a monthly internal audit, again, by our accounting coordinator. Ms. Davis would post those results, and she shares them. Dr. Wells has access to them, the principals, the bookkeepers, myself. We can see each month how they're doing with their audits. We created a fee sheet to assist with receipting processes at the schools and established a cash carryover threshold to prevent findings for minimal receipts after deposits have been made. So if a bookkeeper had gone to the bank, and had made a deposit, and they get back and they get a $2, deposit, it would be a finding if they hadn't gone back. So we put in a minimal threshold so that that would not be a finding during the audit. The next was the segregation of duties, and that will probably never go away. We do not have enough staff that we could have those proper, the segregation of duties and the chain of command. And that's every school division has that. That is the most challenging for us to do. The one thing we can do is put in mitigating controls, proper checks and balances, just so that everybody can see what's going on in those accounts. Ms. Davis also created and we distributed an accounting manual at that boot camp, and this clearly outlined the expectations and the responsibilities of everyone. It had the principal's responsibility, the bookkeeper's responsibility. It was standardizing the processes so that everyone was doing the same thing. If someone went to another school, they would have the exact same process at the school they were in. So a lot of work has been done, and I'm very proud to say that it has shown in the next year's audit. So just remember the first one where you had all those columns and all those X's. So you'll see in this year, there's not as many columns, not as many X's. All these are tied to cash receipts. And again, we're hoping that School Cash Online will assist in those areas, minimizing the amount of cash and the receipting that has to go through. Again, last year we had 2 schools with perfect audits, and I want to congratulate the schools receiving perfect audits for the 23-24 school year. That's Amelon Elementary. They have received, this is their second year, back-to-back year for a perfect audit. Amherst Middle School, Manelson Middle School, Amherst High School, and I just have to say I'm especially proud to say this when we recognize the 5th school, which is Amelon Elementary. I apologize. Elon Elementary. They did a phenomenal job to turn it around as fast as they did. Even the auditors mentioned that to us, and I do apologize for saying the wrong school. So I am very grateful to have such a dedicated staff that we work well together and we have the same goal in mind, and I just want to thank everybody. Do y'all have any questions?
Board, anything for Mr. Connage? Thank you for your efforts. That's great to see that.
Thank you, ma'am, and nice work. Thank you. That's okay.
Okay, Dr. Wells, 10?
So next we have item 10, instruction, Dr. Norman.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I have 3 quick items for you tonight. The first would be the division support plan. You were provided that information last month, a copy of it that was sent to the Virginia Department of Education along with the 3 school plans. It was approved. At your place tonight, you have actually the paperwork from VDOE that shows the 3 times that it was reviewed, as well as our completion for our division plan and all the updates, as well as the Madison Heights, Manelson Middle School, and Central Elementary. So right now we are in compliance with all of our federal requirements regarding our federal identification schools and the division support plan. And I'll take any questions that you may have.
Board,
If
any
you have them.
questions for Dr. Norman?
Okay. Number 2, The second thing is that I would like to explain to you 3 different pockets of academic progress data that you had requested. The first one is in a packet that looks like this, and it is a lot of information. It is our VALS assessment, which replaced PALS assessment. So it is our Virginia language and literacy screening that we do K through 5th grade students. And the first page really is just an overview for you, because the pages behind it are very specific, very detailed by grade level, as well as division information that gives you very specific information on how our reading is going, whether it's through fluency, decoding, word rec, comprehension, and how that lines out with our students at each grade level. Students that have been ID'd is what it is called on your paperwork, means that they have some type of reading deficiency, that they get additional supports from our reading specialists in our elementary schools. And I'm going to give that to you tonight. Please feel free to take a look at it. If you have any questions, you can contact myself, Ashley Hutchinson, who is our instructional specialist for literacy in elementary, or of course, Ms. Wheeler, who oversees the program as our supervisor.
On the VALS front, this is the first year going from PALS to VALS, so we have no real data to compare to like previous years. So this is the baseline year, and we'll have growth from there forward. So you really can't compare the VALS test to the PALS test because they're on a different level and different scoring scale, so they're different tests.
Yes. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So the second pocket of information looks like this. It is your red, yellow, green chart, and it is an overview of information on the 4 content areas or 3 content areas that are assessed at each of our schools, depending on the SOL tests that are taken. It is done by grade level, and it is done by content area, by school. And this is just a snapshot for the month of November. So the principals pulled their information together that they had from their PLCs. They ranked their students according to data that they had pulled, whether it was a common assessment that they had in the grade level, or a unit test, or anecdotal information from the teachers, or grades that go into the grade book. A lot of information went into this, but this is what they believe are targeted kids in the area of needs additional support, at risk, meaning we need to do a little tweaks with those kids, or that are well prepared. And this is based on what they would do by the end of the school year. I will also allow you to have as much time as you want to take a look at that and preview it. You can contact me, Dr. Wells. You can contact directly to the building principals. I would ask that if you do that, you just kind of give me a heads up, and Dr. Wells a heads up that you've done that. Don't stress my principals out.
Just CC us on the email. We'll be fine.
Okay.
Board, anything for Dr. Norman?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, and the last one, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Cecil. She oversees the laser program that we have been patiently waiting for VDOE to release. They have done that. You will get a monthly report from Ms. Cecil, a couple of pages, but I've asked her tonight to walk you through the memo that she's going to give you monthly, so you'll know the big sections and what laser will do for you. So Ms. Cecil, take it away.
And before she gets started, I would also add that this is an overview. If you want more detailed discussion, I would say let's schedule 2x2s in January or February. We can do sit-downs and just talk about it, as opposed to tonight with time. But again, with 2x2s, I would say we can do that in January, February, and sit down with you and discuss this in depth and answer any questions you have once you've had a chance to look at it.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I am going to give you a very brief update about this digital data platform that we have now that is live and running, that we're still unpacking. So as a reminder, LASER gives us access to 3 different dashboards. It gives us access to an accreditation dashboard, a group comparison dashboard, and the early warning system dashboard. So the information and update that I'm going to provide you this evening is really just related directly to the early warning system dashboard. So as you'll see at your place, that the early warning system follows an ABC model, which means it looks at data related to A for attendance, B for behavior, and C for coursework. And noted for you at the top, through those lenses, each has their own decision rule for identifying students within the ranges of on track, early warning, and needing intervention. So you'll see those noted there. And so each section to follow in the information that you have at your place really provides you specific information related to those individual components within the early warning system dashboard. So the first overview provided for you is the division-wide information. And so you'll see those focus areas that I just mentioned. And just to summarize, you'll see that 36.6 of students are on track, while 37.1 of those require intervention. And that really means that those students have been identified in at least one of the ABC areas for needing support. So again, for each area, you're going to see percentages for students that are on track, identified for early warning, or are in need for intervention. And so just flipping the page, we're going to get some more school-specific information represented in those colored stack bars there. And so this provides, the same information that you just saw at the division level, but it's more school-specific there. And so this information is going to help us with our comparison data. It's going to help us prioritizing supports where needed in those areas of attendance, behavior, and coursework. And so just to continue, the information that follows there just unpacks a little bit further within those 3 areas. So to start, you'll see information related to the attendance early warning status. And so again, underneath that image, you'll see those decision rules below the image. And the attendance rate listed in descending order. So you'll see that Temperance and Elin Elementary currently hold that highest overall attendance rate. And on the right side, you'll see those stacked bars that show the breakdown in percentages for that early warning level there. So for example, you'll see Amherst County High School, and you'll see Central Elementary showing higher needs for intervention there. So I do just want to stop for a second here and remind the board that this data is just a snapshot in current time. And so it doesn't have any information here to show any growth, which I do believe that both of those schools have been showing. And so moving on to behavior, that overview there, we'll see information related to the number of behavior events. Again, on the right side, percentages and number of students in each of the early warning statuses. And then here is where you can see the highest number, where the highest number of behavior events are happening and how that's impacting instruction there. And so finally, that last piece there is the coursework. And so here, the decision rules are a little bit more nuanced. So we are using information, or LASER is using information from potentially 3 different areas. We've got students' summative scores, so not all of their scores. And so for us, that's going to be items labeled under that mastery of content there. And the most current SOL data, as well as the previous year's SOL data. So again, this visual has those 2 pieces where you're seeing first the grades by school, grade averages by school in that descending order, and then the second is that early warning system status. So again, I want to reiterate that this information only pulls grades coded as mastery of content, so those summative. And then when looking at elementary schools, just learned this today, I'm very excited, that K and 1, remember, those are standards-based grading. So currently what LASER does is it pulls all of the information that it has, and so it doesn't have those averages for K and 1, so it plugs a 0 in its place. So that obviously is going to impact that average there. So I did just want to note that. And so that is the information that I have for you today. And so as we continue to kind of dig deep into this platform and learn more about it and what it has to offer, we'll obviously, like Dr. Norman and Dr. Wells stated, bring that to you monthly. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them at this time. But again, as Dr. Wells stated, also be available for some unpacking further in 2x2s.
Board, anything for Ms. Cecil?
Ms. Cecil, Dr. Norman, so now that you're finally have gotten to use laser, is it living up to the hype? Are we happy with what we're seeing? Are we getting the information? Are we gonna get the information that we?
So there's a
Have
couple of
expected.
things that we already know that we have questions into VDOE in regards to, and that's the span of time. Does it go back and pick up a year's time, 12 months, or is it a current school year where it starts from August and goes to the end of the school year? That data piece. One of the other, not concerns, but just to make sure that y'all understand this is not something that we are able to go back and look at or track backwards because it is real-time data, so it changes about 4 times a day, depending on if teacher, like laser sweeps our system 4 times at least through a 24-hour period. And so if a teacher updates a grade book and takes a 0 out because a kid brought in their assignment, it changes. So it's varied. It is a snapshot.
Very
That's why you get a printed copy rather than us trying to give you a digital copy of it because that data changes. It's already changed from when we pulled this earlier this week.
So in order for us to really do a comparison, you have to do a screenshot, save it a month later, same time, pull it again, or a week later, same time, pull it again to kind of get a comparison. But it does give you real-time data, so it's updated all the time. So, but what you see today, you can't really compare to 3 days ago because
They haven't figured out a way to export yet, which I find odd. But I would strongly suggest for you to set up some time 2x2s to meet with, so you can actually see it in process. We can bring it up, pull it up, show you exactly. You can tell us what subgroups you want to take a look at and what that looks like. It drills down very specific to students.
it does, the drill downs by grade, by demographics, and all those things is very good to sit down and click, and you can go, economically disadvantaged, male, female, whatever race, and you can click all those things and click those groups, and it'll give you a list of students, and you can kind of see where they are.
Yeah, but like I shared with you guys before, as far as I think a board is concerned, we're concerned with that high-level view, right? And so we want to see those green sections getting bigger.
Yes.
And maybe the yellow getting bigger, but the red getting smaller for all groups, right? For all of our students. So I'm excited to hear that it's finally alive.
It is.
And
So are we.
I hope that it does live up to the hype, and I hope we understand the data. I've been in education for a long time, and for a long time, we've talked about data. And I've yet to really see a lot of people use the data that they get effectively to improve instruction.
Right. I think the question becomes, once you get it, now what, right?
Right.
What do we do with it? That's where we got to really focus. That's what we've been working with our staff on too, is, okay, we have it, now what?
Yeah.
And Ms. Cecil trained our principals in it
Monday, yep. And then they were very excited to have real-time access to real-time summarized data. I will say that as with any new platform, right, once you click into something and learn something else, and then I think on their side also are learning, getting through a few kinks. So sometimes it will be live and sometimes it won't.
Board, anything else for Dr. Norman and Ms. Cecil?
Thank you for bringing this forward and giving it to us and making the opportunity for us to meet with you 2x2 to have a greater understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cecil. Next on the agenda, I have, I've asked Mr. Maddox to come. We are going through federal monitoring on several fronts this year, but one of the major ones that we are undertaking this year, and Mr. Maddox is overseeing this entire project along with Mr. Presnell, is our CTE federal monitoring. So I've asked him just to come before the board, provide you with some information, the timeline, so you'll have an understanding of what's getting ready to take place, because it is a truly a huge undertaking for our division. Mr. Maddox?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, in your package, you have a memo regarding the federal monitoring review. The memorandum highlights the upcoming federal career and technical education monitoring review scheduled for March 11th and 12th. This is the first on-site review since I can remember. I'm early 90s, late 80s maybe. We've went through some desk audits before, but nothing that's an on-site. It's going to be a 2-day on-site review. So the purpose of the review is to ensure compliance with the Perkins 5 requirements. It evaluates program quality, and it supports ongoing improvement and efforts. So when you look at the timeline right now, through November and December, we've been collecting and reviewing the necessary documentation. That includes financial records, teacher syllabus, improvement plans, everything that we have to go through with that. And we've also assigned roles to different people as far as who's going to go through the review and what the responsibilities are with those folks. So we met with our teachers. They understand that piece and their role in that. And we're going to come later, as you see, and meet with the principals and things like that. Because in January, we'll submit our preliminary documentation to the state. We'll try to do that by January 24th. We'll coordinate planning meetings with administrators and staff. Then hopefully in February, we're going to organize all those materials for review, and then we're going to conduct a mock monitoring sessions and finalize the visitation schedule. So we're hoping to use some of our local CTE directors that we know to come in, and we'll do a walkthrough with the schools so the staff and the teachers will understand kind of what's going on. So, and in March, after they come in and they do the on-site review, within 45 days, we'll get a report of their findings and then develop and submit corrective action plans as needed. So we really view this process as an opportunity, a positive opportunity to showcase our programs and our strengths, but also identify areas of improvement. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Board, any questions for Mr. Maddox?
Well, I would like to remind the board that, too, we're going through the construction project at the high school, which is in part in that CTE area as well. So Mr. Rokes and Dr. Hoden, they are promising me that we're going to get really good scores, right? Okay.
We're actually having a meeting tomorrow. We have virtual meetings every so often with the VDOE representatives, and we're going to meet with them tomorrow. And they've been very, very supportive in this process. So, like I said, we view it as being positive.
Okay. Board, anything for Mr. Maddox? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right.
What number are we on? Lost track. That was 11.
11
That was
now.
11 now. Okay, 11 now. Okay.
So now we go to student services. And Mr. Neighbors cannot be with us tonight, but Dr. Petrone is, and she will take the lead.
Thank you, Dr. Wells. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Before you, you have the Best Lab data for the month of November. You can see there that 92 students continue to be served in our Best Labs, and that was for more than 1,400 visits. You can see by the first chart there, Madison Heights continues to be pretty busy in the Best Lab. They have a lot of students that are benefiting from that service. You can see by the next graph that our early elementary continues to be a hot spot for behavior. That is the same as in previous months. And then at the bottom there is the student count. So you can see that some students are accessing multiple times throughout the month, like many times throughout the month, and some are, 2 to 5 visits throughout the month. So different plans for every student. Everything is very individualized, but there's that data for you guys. And I could take any questions.
Board, any questions?
Well, Mr. Terry.
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of what Mr. Childers
He stepped out to the restroom.
had alluded to. So this is fairly new, but what are you doing with the data? I mean, what are you coming up with?
Well, this data is actually by the board's request every
I
month.
know, yeah, but I mean, what internally, when you're seeing it yourselves and working through this, and the gentleman that's in charge is, what are you seeing that needs to be done, or, I mean, just, is there a plan?
Right, we're looking at what supports and what we're targeting
Right.
where, and that's going to feed into my next
Okay.
conversation, but yeah.
Okay, anything else, board? Thank you, Dr. Patron.
Okay, so 11.02 is me also. You have in front of you, or you should at least, a mental health document. It might be brightly colored, mine's in black and white. And this is by the board's request that we provide you with our big picture of where we want to go with mental health services in Amherst County Public Schools. So the first thing there is our priorities, and these would be the things that we want to make sure that we're implementing as soon as possible. The best labs in every school would be one of them. You could see there with the previous presentation that there was a lot of usage, that our elementary schools continue to have I'm going to use the term hotspots in the early grades, where we're having a lot of behaviors that are disrupting classes and causing kids to be removed from classes. And the best lab is really decreasing how much time kids are out of classes by giving them structured breaks and giving them that time where they can regulate their emotions before they go back into class, or they could check in and do that ahead of time. So we want to expand that into every building. It is also working at the secondary level. We do have a best lab at AEC and a best lab at Manellison that are also being highly effective, and we want to get one into every building. The second bullet point there is to expand our behavior program. This past year, the board was gracious enough to give us a teacher for grades K through 2 and 2 instructional assistants. And so that program started this year, and we've had some pretty good success with getting kids who would otherwise be on homebound or who would otherwise be put into a private day setting and therefore costing lots of money to the county. We've been able to keep them within Amherst County Public Schools. And so we want to expand that program for grades 3 through 5. And we would ask again for a teacher position and 2 instructional aides to do that. We have also been requesting certified behavior supports, and this goes to your question, Ms. Ligon. When we're looking at that data and we're seeing Madison Heights and Central Elementary School with different data, Central Elementary School's data is really in their discipline data. We're seeing the huge need to support behaviors, and so having certified behavior technicians, people who have undergone special training and have certifications to deal with that type of behavior, would be positions that we would really want in those buildings. And then we would like to develop and plan to implement a universal screener and the response protocols that go along with that, so that we can support all of our students and we can start being more preventative instead of just responding to mental health stuff. We could start identifying things ahead of time and dealing with them. So going a little further out, we want to start adding in licensed counselors, and these are positions that would be Medicaid billable. So hopefully would be more budget neutral. They might have a cost in the front end to get them onboarded and get their caseloads built up, but as they fill up, they should pay for themselves. We also would like to request, and again, this is in the future, a paraprofessional who can go to every elementary school and help with ISS. Right now, ISS is in the front office of most of our elementary schools. It takes up a lot of time from our administrative assistants, who are also our bookkeepers, as you heard earlier, and are doing many duties, and also our administrators, who really need to be in classrooms focused on instruction, but instead are monitoring students with behavior in the front office. So that would be a solution to that problem. And then, of course, there would be targeted professional development for our staff who are dealing with behavior, and our teachers who are having classrooms that are more challenging to manage than maybe in past years. Going a little further out into 2026 and beyond is more about expansion. It's expanding the services I just talked about, the counseling services, the behavior supports. That's what ABA is for. It's the behavior supports. And then looking at parent resource centers, people who can help support students with transitions, whether that's coming back from homebound instruction, coming back from a long-term suspension, or even coming back from AEC and going back into the high school. Having a person who may be able to help facilitate that transition would be really beneficial for some of our students. As you know from the suspension report, vaping cessation would be something that might benefit some of our kids. And Mr. Brooks could attest to that with the clogging of our pipes. And another thing is that in our region, and I know that many of you have heard me talk about this, we have a shortage of mental health counselors. So maybe in the future, looking at coursework at the high school level that introduces that field to our students and get them excited about that so that they can go on to be the counselors and fill those positions in the future. So those are some of our bigger picture things. We will continue. We have a mental health team that meets each month with Dr. Wells. It's several school counselors, several teachers, a representative from each building. That team will continue to make recommendations and be a part of this decision-making process. We will continue to work with all of the local vendors and contractors to meet our students' needs, whether these things get funded or not, whether these things happen or not. So that will still be a part of our process. We are constantly looking for grant opportunities to pay for some of these services and help support our kids. And the last thing that is ongoing is just making sure that we have calming spaces, that our classrooms have what they need for students to do self-regulation and all of that. So I'm happy to take some questions, but I would love to sit down in 2x2s with you guys and go through this in much more detail, because this is a lot of information and each one of these things could be its own presentation. So I feel like that would be a better way to explain all of this and make sure that all of your questions are answered. But I'm happy to take any questions now also.
Board, any questions for Dr. Patron? Yes, sir.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Dr. Patron, so I'm going to ask a couple questions, and I'm not against adding these positions, or you know, I think we have a mental health crisis in our country. A lot of school divisions are experiencing similar problems, but as a board, our primary focus is, you know, how do we provide the best instruction to our kids? So as we look at, you know, the budget discussions and talking about adding new instructional positions, increasing pay for IAs and teachers and classified staff, as a board member, could you give us some insight on how do we balance adding those
That's why I'm not a
instructional
board member.
positions and these and the positions that you're asking?
Yeah, so some of these things would be, there would be a cost up front to get people up and running, but we would be able to get Medicaid reimbursement.
But don't we have
for it.
issues right now with Medicaid reimbursement?
We do, and that's why we don't have these things yet.
Right. So
That's why they're out in the future.
But
Yeah.
I think part of that, though, too, Mr. Childress, is if we're not taking care of those needs of the students, they won't be successful in school.
Again, I'm not saying we
Right.
don't do it.
I'm just saying
how do
that-
we,
right.
as a
How do
board
you
member,
right. Where's that
where do
balance?
we balance the
Right.
scales?
Right,
So
Yeah.
I'm selfishly looking for some insight.
yeah.
I can't answer that. I mean, I also have other responsibilities outside of mental health, and I feel strongly about some of those other things that you just said also, that I think our IAs deserve, you know,
now you
these are my
understand our
personal
dilemma.
opinions. Yeah, so this is why I didn't run for school board.
Well, again, it
Good point.
is something as we go through this process of prioritizing and how we go through the prioritization process, but then also working through this as well, knowing that hopefully Medicaid, as we look at these, you know, longer term goals, that we might not be able to do some of these this year. It was something we would like to see, but if we can't get there, we can't get there. But also, hopefully Medicare is going to work out some of their kinks in the next months into a year. And once we know those kinks are worked out, those reimbursements come in would actually offset the cost of that to us, because we could Medicaid billable. So it's a process. Again, I think as we go through the budget process here, we're going to have some serious conversations, and as we prioritize things, we will have recommendations to you based on the budget. So we'll have our recommendations based on what we think is doable And then beyond that will be, we'll see where we end up.
And-
Those are going to be not just getting us across the line,
No,
but
where we think we
Right.
need to be.
excelling.
Yes.
And Mr. Childress, Mr. Neighbors, he's not here tonight, but when we were talking about this same conversation today in senior staff, he talked about if we don't come up with our own solution for the kids and the children in Amherst County, either we're going to pay for it now or we're going to pay for it later. And I will tell you that if a child is not mentally healthy, physically healthy, and able to be in that classroom and behave, I can't teach them anything. And I gotta make sure that that is for every teacher in the classroom, for every instructional person, that they understand that the mental and physical health of our children is important just as much as teaching the content to them. They're not gonna learn the content until they feel safe and secure and are able to do what they need to do in the classroom.
Right, but, and we can talk about this another day, but for me, the balance is when you're talking about a position that's gonna affect a few that have, to deal with those concerns versus the majority of students, right? And so that's the dilemma that I think we struggle with. I think long-term, we really need to figure out the root cause.
Absolutely.
Rather, it seems like we do a lot of putting Band-Aids on things to address the issues, to try and move us along, to get us past this issue to the next one. But until we can identify the root cause and start addressing those concerns and issues, then we're going to continue to have to deal with all these struggles.
Yes, sir.
Board, anything else? Thank you, Dr. Patron. Next.
We go to Human Resources, Mr. Gallagher.
All right. Mr. Chair, members of the board, good evening. The first item we have is the vacancy memo for the month, so you have that in front of you, and I'm happy to take any questions regarding that memo this month that you might have.
Board, anything for Mr. Gallagher? Okay. Thanks, sir.
Good, okay. Secondly, on the agenda, I just want to give you an update on the calendar and kind of where we are with that. As you know, we formed a calendar committee. That committee did come up with a survey that we pushed out for a proposed calendar back on November 12th. That survey closed on the 26th. We had 173 respondents during that time frame. 63% of those respondents were teachers, and 10% were secretaries or administrative assistants. A report that we did have 75.7% of the respondents that liked the calendar that was developed and proposed. So they agreed that this is going to meet the needs of all stakeholders involved. But there was also an opportunity to provide some written feedback. You all probably saw the survey as well. So we met Monday, December 9th, the committee did, to review the written comments provided by respondents to consider any necessary revisions based on that. The only immediate revision was to change the timing of a particular teacher workday just relative to the end of the grading period to make it consistent, which was a small adjustment. But the frequency, the highest frequency comments in the survey were to add an additional fall break day, because there's one already in there, and that was 8 respondents. To make Thanksgiving break a whole week, so those 2 days that we come to school and take off to make that a whole week. That was 6 respondents. To make the last day of school a teacher work day, we understand the rationale for that, to facilitate end of year responsibilities, and there were 5 respondents there out of the 173. And to add an additional teacher work or PD days, so to have opportunities for professional development or work days, more of those throughout the year. So with those comments, we are in the process of determining, do we want to push out a second survey? The only way these things could be accommodated, to be quite honest, you can't give without taking something away. So to actually accommodate these requests of some of the respondents, you would have to go into Thursday of the first week of June in order to meet those needs. Then you'll be able to provide additional days, but you're going to have to give those back on the back end. So we will either have a proposal for you for first read in January, or we're considering a second survey just to look at what that would look like, extending the school year out to meet the needs or the requests of a minority of the respondents. So we're kind of in that process. And one way or another, we'll keep you informed of where we are with that. So I will then take any questions you might have.
Okay.
Terry?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gallagher, if
Yes, sir.
you take maybe the top 3 things that they were asking for and say, which one do you want, would be better than saying, okay, do we want to extend the school year? Because I have a feeling when you tell everybody you're going to want to extend the school year, they're going to say, forget it.
Well, I agree with you.
But maybe give them something on that list instead of just saying, okay, we're going to give you option A, B, or C, pick the one, and that's the one we're going to go with.
Well, any one of them is going to extend the year at least a day or more. And so, but I
Absolutely.
understand. But by not doing so, we would actually be honoring the overwhelming majority of the responses or feedback from the past several years, which is to end in May. You know, sometimes they'll ask to start later, but you know, if the one thing that's been reiterated year after year is we want to end in May.
Right,
So
right.
I do believe that trying to meet, and again, they were, 5%, 3%. The comments weren't of a lot of the respondents, but to add them in, any one of them, for whatever amount of days, is going to add to the end of the year. So,
Right, and maybe sending that survey back out and letting everybody that's involved in the survey know this could happen may get more people to respond to the survey.
And that's a possibility. Yes, sir.
Board, anything else for Mr. Gallagher? Okay. Next subject.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Rose.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and board members. I'm going to share some recruiting initiatives and recognition events that we have on our calendar. Beginning in January, we will start our recruiting season, and that will run through April. We'll be visiting with our recruitment team that will be gathering together in the next couple of weeks. We will be visiting 11 colleges and universities in the state of Virginia, including Longwood, JMU, Virginia State University, Virginia Union, Liberty, Old Dominion, University of Lynchburg, and Bridgewater College. We're also delighted to invite you to our Teacher of the Year and Staff Support Staff Member of the Year recognition ceremony that's going to be held January 16th at Sweetbriar College. That will be at 6:00 p.m. We will be honoring all our school level nominees, and at that time, we will announce our division winners for each of those categories. So we hope you'll be able to join us on that evening, and more information will be sent to you regarding that. And additionally, I'm pleased to announce that on January 1st, we will hold our annual career fair here at the School of February 1st, our annual career fair here at the School Administration Building. I believe you have a flyer inside your folder detailing that, and you'll be seeing information going out on our social media to really promote that in the positions that we're going to be vying for. And we're hoping that we're going to meet some exceptional individuals who can be a part of our ACPS family. And I am here for any questions you might have, but other than that, that concludes all I have to share.
Board, any questions for Dr. Rose? Dr. Rose, real quick question. I did hear somebody drop the word December graduates coming up. Have we tapped into any graduates this coming up here soon?
Each time we have an opening that we know is on the horizon, we start connecting with our connectors at the various universities in the surrounding area. And it has come up with some promising opportunities for some.
And I'll just add that we are in close collaboration with all of our university partners and staying in touch with those December grads. When you look at the vacancy memo, sometimes you see some of those positions where unfortunately there just aren't very many. So, I mean, if it were elementary positions or even special education or some things, there might be more candidates coming out in December, some of whom were probably our student teaching with us. Our current openings for this year, not for next year, but for this year, are difficult to fill, and there are just not many candidates out there coming out right now.
Thank you. Board, anything else? Okay. Moving on.
All right. Next, we have my matters.
12, 13.
I believe that's where we are. I hope so. We're going anyway.
No.
Earlier this month, you received quarterly review data from me, and what that was a summary sections from each principal and their quarterly reviews. So I just want to make sure you have look at that, and if you have questions on that, feel free to reach out to me. Statement of economic interest opens January 1st. You have until February 3rd to get it in. If you don't get it in by February 3rd, it's a $250 fine. So you can't start until January 1st. I will send you an email reminder on January 1st, 2nd, 3rd timeframe that, hey, you can start now, but don't start now because it doesn't do any good to start now. So wait until January 1st. And, yeah, Brittany will send you some PDF information on it. Community dinner. We are holding a community dinner, the Show Up Amherst initiative, on January 28th. We're at the Madison Heights Community Center again, so we're looking forward to that. Just want to get that on the calendar. We'll send you more information on that as well. The Board of Supervisors construction tour is the 17th at 5 p.m. at the high school, and we will take them on the walk. You are welcome to join us if you so desire, but it'll be at 5 o'clock. We'll meet in the Lesher Hall area again and take a walking tour of the new construction with our Board of Supervisors. The committees. Ms. Justice had asked for a list of all the committees that we have. So what we did, actually, well, I'll say we, what Brittany did, was compile a list of school board committees. You have an email that earlier this evening. Of school board committees, then my committees that we have. So you'll see that list. So some are what you are required and you've asked for. Others are the committees that we just run as a division outside of what you have asked us to run. So you have that list of committees and names, everyone on it. So if you have questions on that, feel free to let us know. We'll be glad to discuss it with you. The auditorium grand opening, again, another save the date, and you'll be getting this multiple times. It's May 10th, and it'll be for the high school edition grand opening. We just want to get on your calendars, and we will send more stuff out to you about that, but that'll be May 10th from 1 to 5. We'll do a ribbon cutting, have some speeches and all the good stuff, and then have tours of the construction of the new auditorium and some music groups singing and everything else, and food, and make it a good afternoon.
Look forward to it.
All right. That's all I have. Any questions?
Board, anything for Dr. Wells? Thank you,
All right.
sir.
Thank you.
All righty. Moving on. School board members with your committee and closing comments for each. So, Mr. Childress, you want to start us off, please?
Yes, sir. I will keep it brief as always. I don't have any committee report. We have not met again since the last meeting, and so nothing to report there with the governor, with the STEM Academy. I'm trying to remember which committee I'm on. I do want to say, you know, we talk about our students and all the recognitions. It's awesome to hear all these wonderful things, and it really, I think it opens our eyes and allows the community to see the wonderful things our students are doing, but also our staff. I think our staff needs to be recognized for sure. I do want to just say a quick thing about Ralph Steele. He was my elementary principal, and I remember him very vividly. A great man, and he lived in the community, and I remember as I was refereeing soccer, and I would be up there, and he would be there with his granddaughter, and we would talk about how good of a student I was in elementary school. But he had a huge impact in this community, and he's definitely going to be missed. So, I did have an opportunity to visit Madison Heights Elementary School this past month. Mr. Hutchinson walked me around. I got to see all the various classrooms. I got to see some of the teachers in action and visit with our students, and it's just phenomenal. You know, I wish our community could get to see that, to see our teachers in action and the relationships that they have with the students. It really is a great experience. I do appreciate having the opportunity to do that. I did also get to attend the VSBA conference with a few of you as well, and so that was very good. I got to attend the biggest session I remember was the AI session, which I disagreed with some of the comments they were saying, but that's okay. And speaking of AI, I did attend the fourth and final FAST AI training for Region 5 today. So,
Okay.
all I got.
Great. Thank you, sir. Ms. Saunders.
Yes, I was glad to see all the students. It's always nice to recognize them, but I did want to point out that it was girl power tonight. Just going to say it, just putting it out there. Boys, y'all got to step it up. One of the things, though, I was really disappointed was there was no one that came forward for the budget. And we sit up here and we make decisions that affect a lot of you guys out in the audience. I'm hoping that someone's actually listening to this at 8:30 at night. But it would be really great if you guys would tell us a direction that you want us to go into. I mean, I know this way that the staff may want, but as a community, as parents, it would be really helpful if you guys could give us some direction sometime as well. It was also, I wanted to say the last thing is the spirit of giving from the schools and the students. That's awesome to see because pay it forward. That's a great way to end on happy holidays to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Rossi.
Yes, it is Christmas time. I love this time of year. I understand we've got a new doctor in the building. Is that correct? Congratulations, Dr. Joey Crawford. Congratulations. You're welcome. Hard work went into that, and now we got to get you a new placard, I guess, right? Are we going to do that? Or has he already got one at the school?
Yeah, it's on the way.
Good. Right. I got you. Well, he understands. We can get a crayon for him. He'll be all right.
Didn't want to jinx it prior to it going
Right,
through,
that's
so
right.
I didn't want to order it before it happened.
All right. Well, I understand superstitions. So, yeah, a lot of good things going on. I know we've had a lot of discussion tonight and the VSBA, and, I've never been a big fan of government getting involved in education. I think since 1985, that whole national education was just a disaster. I think there's numbers that prove it is. And yet, millions and millions of dollars go into it every year out of our own pockets. And I think Amherst should be able to take care of Amherst. And when I hear the word lobby, I really get nervous because that's people that are paying money to push an agenda, and putting politics in school, it just doesn't belong. There's no need. We got to get back to the basics, and that's part of the reason we got into the mess we're in now. Back when we were founding this country and building off what we had, it was little one-room schoolhouses that educated our children to build this country into one of the greatest nations the world's ever seen. And, the federal government getting into it, I don't have a warm, fuzzy feeling, because is our voice really being heard when they're making these laws that we have to follow? Is our voice really being heard? We sit and, we complain about this, complain about that, and yet how many show up? Like you were talking about the budget earlier. We're going to approve a budget, and then right after we approve it, everybody's going to show up and have something to say about the budget. You can complain about it, that's your right, but do something. Show up to a meeting, make a comment. There's nothing wrong with showing up to a meeting and saying your piece. And we encourage it. We want the input from the community. We work for the community. That's what we're doing here. We're trying to educate the children of this community. And people need to put that in perspective instead of just getting behind a keyboard or sending an email. Show up. Every 4 years, we've got positions opened up on this board. You can always run for office and actually be a part of it. Make an impact. If you don't think things are going right, get on the ballot. Do something about it. Don't just sit behind your keyboard and complain about it, but that's enough about that. It's Christmas time. Vapes. I've got a little inside tip on the vape issue. And I encourage parents to go through their children's phone accounts. They're moving dollars at a time, so mom and dad don't grow. Where'd you spend that dollar at? Oh, lunch, got an ice cream. One person gets $1 from 40 of his friends, and he goes and buys that vape. That's how they're getting it past the parents. So parents, if you're listening, open up the account and see how many times your student, your child, spends $1 at the school, not to the school, but to a person. Oh, Sally needed $1. Jimmy needed $1. Susie needed $1. That's where the money's coming from. They've got their PayPal accounts or their, what is it, Apple Pay, I think is the way they're using it. So pay attention to your children's accounts, find out where that money's going, really going. And then if your child has a $35 deposit on their iPhone, you may want to find out where that money went. That's just little insider stuff that I've got from other students. So be aware of that. And the last thing I've got to say is, as we enter the Christmas season, my God didn't make any mistakes. I don't need to understand why. I just know my God didn't say oops when he created me. He created me in the most perfect thing I could be. We're all sinners. We're all sinners. And to know that God doesn't say oops, he'll accept you as you are. But if you accept him, he will change who you are and turn you into love. And Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Justice.
All right. Gov School met the first Wednesday of this month. They adopted a cell phone policy. Cell phones will be out of sight unless students get explicit permission from the staff member for a specific purpose. Not because of the population, they're not really anticipating much conflict over that. He said in 15 years as superintendent, he's not had any referrals. So the first promotional visit from CVGS at Amherst High School is going to be on December 16th at 1 p.m. January 23rd is going to be the program overview at the school from 7 to 8:30 p.m. I encourage you parents, take your kids there, whether they're interested or not. I'm sure they're going to see some really cool stuff. Amherst Middle School is touring the Gov School on Friday, January 31st. That sounds pretty exciting. And Manellison is going to do it February 20th. They purchased new laptops this year, and they're looking at donating them to the Jubilee Family Development and Parkview Mission and Peacemaker volunteers. Mrs. Miller-Good has informed me we have 20 eligible students that were referred to Gov School, which is really, really good. And I'm very excited about that. Next on my agenda, it has been an incredibly busy 4 weeks. I went to VSBA for 3.5 days, and thanks, Ms. Ligon, for casting the vote as the board asked you. It was very interesting to sit in the delegate assembly and see how it operated. There were, Fairfax brought up a couple questions that were really interesting that regarding ex officio members in the bylaws, and anyways, lots of interesting stuff I hadn't even looked at. Now I've looked at tons. So I really appreciated one of the workshops was on how we work together as a board when you're coming from different perspectives, but you have a same goal, which is the betterment of the students. And I appreciated that. I also went to the School Board Member Alliance, where we got to speak with Amy Gadara. She was there all day. I got to just talk about chronic absenteeism. You know, if you can limit that to those who aren't achieving, those who have behavioral issues, you'll get a better reflection of what's happening in the district. If you have a student that's sick for 3 weeks and still achieving and has excused absences, that's not what you're looking for as an indicator of what's going on in the schools. So got to advocate that way. Got to listen to Elizabeth Schultz, and she shared about the cannabis toolkits. Those are available online. And, you know, I know you've heard this before, but parents that talk with their kids about cannabis, the statistics on the students that use go way down when their parents have had a conversation. So, just, there was a lot of really good stuff. So, you know, Dr. Wells, tonight we heard from Ona regarding a very troubling interaction with another employee, it sounded like. Is that correct? Okay. Does our current policy protect or give process for Ona to pursue justice in that situation? Okay, good. I wanted to make certain that our policy does not encourage or allow that kind of treatment. We're all created specially in due respect, in kindness, and I personally am very, very aggravated when I get to see someone treated because they think differently or live differently in a disrespectful, derogatory, dehumanizing manner. And that made me very sad. So thank you that our policy does protect. I hope during this Christmas season, you get to spend time with family. You get to celebrate the reason for the season. And if that's not your focal point, I hope you have lots of great time with family and friends and rest and recuperate. Get out, enjoy the beautiful lights. Bluff Walk is pretty cool. Driving country roads around here where there are no leaves is pretty cool. Yeah, make some memories and just take care of yourself. And for those of you that are having a really hard time during this season, I just want to remind you, you're not alone. You make a difference, and how you feel today or yesterday isn't going to be that way forever, and you only have to walk one step at a time. Reach out. There are people around you that care about you. So, Merry Christmas.
Ma'am? Ms. Ligon?
Just, Mr. Chair, just a few items. Laurel Board met last week, and at this time, Amherst has 5 students there. Dr. Copeland in Lynchburg is the interim superintendent at this time, while Lynchburg is looking for a superintendent. We had a great meeting, and we have some new members coming and going from different divisions, but Laurel is still doing very well under the direction of Dr. Lewis. I think mental health, when I was at the conference, which I enjoyed, hot topic is mental health. It's nothing new. Dr. Patron and her company is very much on top of it, and it's going to be here for a while. A few years ago, it was absenteeism, still is. So we've switched now to NAS mental health, and they're all related, if you ask me, to achievement, and that's what I look at. I did endure the sub-zero temperatures at the parade. I'm still here. If Dr. Wells survived it, I was up there watching him, I'm still here. And we also had cookies with Santa and the Grinch this week at Amelon, so I wasn't able to get to the high school event because my little people said, come on down here. But things are just great in the area, and this is a great time for the children and for the staff to enjoy the holidays. So I'm looking forward to, we're closing out a year, basically, and we got some things to challenge us, and every school division does, but I was listening to you all suggesting 2x2s and all these scenarios. Well, yes and no. It might just be a time that you have to get together and have a meeting. You can use the word retreat, or you can use the word workshop, where everybody gets an understanding, and it doesn't have to be all day. I don't mind calling you on 2x2s, but timing is a little bit off for me sometimes. But just might have to have another little session on the achievement when it's before budget time, you know. But I appreciate all the emails from Dr. Wells explaining the budgets, explaining the positions. Mr. Childress zooming in on that, and I think we all, as I close, just want the same thing. We just want the children to succeed. Got a few bumps in the road. I was reading some of the things you sent, and I especially took notice to substitutes, the consistency of teaching when you have to have a sub, or when the teachers are out. By no means do we want anyone to come to work sick. However, we do know that these sort of things will, at some moment, have an influence on achievement. So many factors, and we're all working together. So, once again, I'll just say happy holidays and Merry Christmas to all, and look forward to continuing on a little while longer.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, I did not brave the cold, Ms. Ligon. I must apologize.
I know I missed you.
I know you did.
You did the right thing.
Yeah, y'all better people than I. Anyway, so I would like to thank everybody for the information that was provided here tonight, and echo what Mr. Childress and Ms. Ligon have both kind of alluded to earlier. When we have that data that shows something, what do we do with it? Let's take it, move forward, and go, hey, this is where we are. What are we going to do? What's our next step? And help that guide us in part of the budget process. You know, it's we need it here, we need it there. Where are we? And like Ms. Saunders mentioned, you know, if the community is going, I want to see us improve in these areas. Let's hear from our community. We not tonight, but we have had some people come and speak various things about the budget. We've heard those things. We've got those noted down, that those are items we are going to be looking at. We can't address everything because it's not an unlimited supply of money, that's for sure, but we can prioritize. So we'll take people's input on that. So Dr. Crawford, I'd like to also congratulate you, sir, and let them know that the live wreath that we got and tree is everything's all good. So supporting the FFA group? Yep. So that's a great little thing they got going on out there. Looking forward to seeing more progress on the building out at the high school. It's amazing to see how far it's come in a relatively short amount of time. Take a nice tour with the Board of Supervisors and show them the progress, and get them excited, and seeing them with the community growing, and just that connection. I think that'll be a good thing for us. Again, Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope everybody has a good and safe holiday, and we'll do this again in January.
Yep. All right.
So, now.
I have something to read?
You do.
Okay.
Oh, can I say one thing? I
Yes,
forgot.
ma'am.
I forgot. Dr. Crawford, I'm just echoing them. I've known you for a minute, and my family, for a minute, and my family congratulates you, okay? I just better get that info. Trina text me. So,
All right.
Okay, Dr. Wells.
So pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, it is recommended the board convene a closed meeting for the following A1 personnel matters.
Okay. Board, you got a motion?
so move, sir.
Okay, you got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. In closed session.